Good afternoon or morning, depending on where you're at. Lights Thunder Action, episode 69, reviewing Shang-Chi and What If, with special guest host Klein Felt. We'll be on right after this song. We got a sticky situation, honey. Can't you see we got 1,130,000 zombies? It's a pack full of living dead to go. Buzz, buzz all around your head to go. Science, genetically altered minds, infested these were dead. But they rose from the grave instead, reanimated zombie days ago. Buzz, buzz, all they please. Zombeez, zombies. Zombies, zombies. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is Saturday, September 11th, 2021, and this is episode 69 of Lights Thunder Action, where every week two Thunder Buddies discuss all things Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and the latest happenings in the entertainment industry. I'm Thomas Carter Rochester, and joining me again for today's show is the Klein of scrimmage himself from the Great White North, Mr. Klein Felt. Klein, welcome.
Hello, how you doing, TCR? You having a good day?
I'm having a good day. It's Catterday.
It is. You have a different background today than usual. Am I crazy?
Know. You are crazy, but also true. I'm in the office today. The Gators are playing, and my roommates are watching that. And so I naturally, as a Florida State fan, had to cover up this ugly Gators banner with a Dallas Cowboys flag. We lost, but hey, it'd be like that sometimes. So
it is what it is. It is what it is.
And like we mentioned, this show is going to be, we'll be discussing What If and Shang-Chi. Know what the news this week. Still figuring out schedules and all of that. But before we dive into all that, every week we're live beaming directly into your homes and phones via our Facebook, our Lights Thunder Action Facebook, and our Lights Thunder Action Twitter. And we're also coming in through the HWWSWebTV channel on YouTube and Twitch. All those links can be found at Linktr.com/LightsThunderAction. That'll get you to our Facebook, our Twitter, YouTube, etc., and Instagrams. But if you don't want to listen, if you're not here to like, subscribe, and follow for the live versions, you don't want to see our ugly mugs every week, you can you can listen to our beautiful voices over on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and our hosting site, Spreaker. Leave us a 5-star review if you're feeling generous. This is David's gimmick. I feel weird saying these words.
5-star, 5 stars.
5-star, 5-star. And we appreciate you. Klein, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. It's a good day. It's looking good up here in the, as you said, the Great White North. We're doing well on the other side of the 49th. How about you? You guys busy down in Florida? I'm sure. Humid and warm and just dodging crocodiles all over.
It's alligators, not crocs.
Oh, sorry, alligators.
Crocs are a whole different level of danger. But we actually had what we consider cool weather, which might have been low 80s yesterday. It was very nice. I haven't gone outside today because I don't go outside enough. I'll admit
I did 23 miles on the bike this morning, so I've already been out. It's only 11 o'clock here, but
you know what? That
went out, crushed some hills, did some. I don't know what it is during the pandemic, or I guess the first quarantine last year. I got this old road bike, bought for a couple $100. This guy restores these old bikes, and thought, well, I'm stuck inside. I got nowhere to go. Let's just see if I enjoy this. And it's live in a good community to do it and go out a few times a week. I think this week I did about 100 kilometers, which I don't know what that is in miles, but probably be about, 60 miles maybe. But
something like that.
Yeah. No, it's been good.
Hell yeah, man! We've seen each other and talked a lot this week. It's been a lot.
I know. I feel like this is becoming a regular thing.
Dates. I think our last show was the 28th, right? That sounds right. So 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then this past week we had our fantasy draft, which was fun, to say the least.
Yeah.
We had lots of fun. But outside of all of that fun stuff, what you been up to, Klein? What you been watching?
Right now I am obsessed with Ted Lasso, as what most of the internet seems to be. Have you watched any of Ted Lasso yet, Thomas?
I have seen none of the Ted Lasso.
You have seen none of it? Okay. It is, to pitch you on it, it is the most pure, most positive television you like. If you are feeling down because of just the world, that's just the state of the world we live in, get an Apple Plus subscription. I'm not being paid to say this. Get an Apple TV Plus to sub and watch Ted Lasso. It is the joy it brings me each and every week. It is so good. It is slowly becoming, I binged all of season 1 and then have now been watching season 2 as it comes out. It's kind of coming out weekly. And the joy, or the emotion, sometimes it's not joy, just the pure emotion that it makes me feel every week. It's slowly becoming, I think, one of my favorite television shows ever. It's just, it is so good. And I like soccer a little bit. If you know the premise, it's about a college football coach who gets hired to run a English football team. So a soccer team. And you don't have to like soccer. It is so good, and it will make you laugh. And every episode makes me cry, whether it's happy tears or sad tears. And it just is very real and very good. You have to give it a shot, Thomas. But yeah, other than that, I need a new show. I've put this out on Twitter the other day, at the Klein Felt on Twitter. I've finished everything that I've kind of had on my list, and I'm looking for something new to watch. I'm kind of debating between a few things. Daredevil haven't seen, and I think I would like to catch up on that before Far From Home, just in case our boy Charlie Cox does show up. Want to watch The Sopranos, haven't seen that. Want to watch The Wire, heard a lot about that. And then the one that I seemed to get the most response about was The Last Airbender. I've watched a few episodes of The Last Airbender here and there growing up, but never dove in, have not watched it front to back. I've never seen Korra, never watched Legend of Korra. So I don't know, pitch me on this, dude. Because you were one of the people online that came, you and our buddy Jack Hughes, who has been on the show, correct? He's been on here before.
Friend of the show.
And you guys all came in droves. I was surprised that the Airbender got the love from at least my Twitter friends, my timeline.
Listen,
so
man,
why do I need to see this? Why do I need to watch this?
You're
why is
talking
this
about
top of the list?
I got you. You're talking about Ted Lasso and how it made you feel those emotions. You're crying happy tears, you're crying sad tears, you're following the emotional journey, and it's wholesome. Avatar: The Last Airbender is exactly that. It's wholesome, good. It's made for kids, but it has the depth and intelligence meant for all audiences, all ages.
Yeah, from what I remember and from what I've like kind of heard is it's a kid show that doesn't treat kids like kids. Like it treats them as adults, and it portrays, yes, it's still in a childish manner, or digestible for a younger brain. Yeah. But it deals with themes and deals with things that are a little more adult. So I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm gonna dive in. I don't know. It's a big it's not super big commitment.
It's not,
but it's
4 books or 4 seasons, excuse me.
All 22-minute episodes,
or maybe 3. I think it might be 3. But it's all 22-minute episodes, and I think there's like a total of 60, something like that. Maybe 80, 70,
that's
75.
That's pretty digestible.
And then Legend of Korra is actually shorter. It's 4 seasons of 13 episodes, give or take.
Okay.
And also will make you cry all of the emotional tears.
Is Korra worth it?
Korra is definitely, I think Korra is worth it. I never watched either of them as a child. I watched them both as an adult. It was like, everyone's like, Avatar: The Last Airbender is going on Netflix. And I started it and I was like, I'll watch a little bit. And before I knew it, I would come home from work and sit there and go through 6 episodes real fast while working on stuff, and go to bed and wake up and repeat every day. And I was done with it like that. And then a year ago, a year ago now, I was in Texas, and that's when I got into and finished Legend of Korra. Was like in that kind of time frame of September last year. And I literally spent a day just laying on the carpet because I was so exhausted from going out the night before in Dallas. I just laid on the floor for hours and cried while watching Legend of Korra off my iPad in Texas. And it was the happy tears. It was sad tears. It was, I can't believe they just did that tears. All the tears, man. I can sell you on that because you'll get through it faster than you will Daredevil, I think.
Really?
There might be more hours, but it'll definitely feel faster.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I think I'm going to dive in, especially after Shang-Chi. Like I said it when I walked out of Shang-Chi, just with the bits of Avatar I've watched, is Shang-Chi is the best Avatar movie that I think we're ever going to get, just the way the fights and stuff happen.
Possible.
So I think that, I don't know. I think I'm going to dive in, especially we have that live, isn't Netflix is doing a live action series.
Yes, and allegedly a movie, but I think I saw something recently that they're being pushed back and delayed or something like that.
Yeah, so I would like to watch it before I'd like to be into the hype at least for when the live action series comes out, depending on the quality. That's still to be seen. But I'm interested to watch it. I just didn't know if Daredevil was I've heard so many good things about Daredevil, but also so many I don't know, just shaky things about the Marvel Netflix shows.
Daredevil is probably the best of them. Season 1 is great. Has a little hit, a couple misses in season 1. Season 2 does something that I absolutely hated. And it's probably my hottest take I've ever dropped on this show of how much I just tore into Daredevil season 2. And I feel really bad about it because a lot of people spent
people I thought
months in lives making it.
I thought a lot of people like season 2. I thought it's widely considered the best of the 3. No,
it is not. No, the season 3 is considered the best of the 3. Punisher is also really good. But yeah, I mean, it's just I have to restart all of Daredevil because I don't remember everything that happened before I get to season 3. And I'm just like, I know that I'm going to go into season 2 with a notebook and I'm going to have to balance out the scales of how much I shit on it. Yeah. And because I know what it's like to make something and they spend a lot of time making that. So I feel bad for that take. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to balance the scales. Really quick, let's dive into the comments here. Hello, Willow Skyler. It is good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Terry McIver, our social media guru and master. He says, welcome to the Klein and TCR show. That does sound good. I like that. Pop is in the building. Hello, gentlemen. Matt Rimke, he asks, is James Cameron coming back for the new Avatar?
Yeah, all 5 of them. I heard announcements yesterday that they dated Avatar 5. 2028, I think. I can't believe that they're filming whatever, like all 5 of them back to back to back.
Let's hope the story is better than the first. That's all I care about.
They're making a game. Like Ubisoft is making an open world Avatar video game that was announced
that sounds
year.
dope.
Yeah.
That sounds better than watching the movie. And I'm not a game guy.
Hanging out with Jake Sully. Can you name any other character from that movie?
I didn't even have his name. I was just gonna be like Sam Worthington and
Zoe Saldana,
Sigourney Weaver. What is this? Hello? Are you? You can't even load. Are you there? Can we hear you? Satellite. Can you hear me now? He cannot.
He's frozen.
He's frozen.
He's frozen.
Mom and pop's internet ain't so good. Matt Rimke says 2 is better than 1. Yes.
That's Daredevil.
Hello.
Yeah, he's talking about Daredevil.
Intrigue. Oh, you're here.
Can you guys hear me?
David.
It's that guy.
We can hear you. How you doing? Welcome to the show. You're frozen.
Yeah, he froze again. We got a hello. That's it.
What a Spider-Man entrance. Hello. Goodbye. Well, while David loads himself in, I've actually been watching stuff for lots of reasons. I've been watching What We Do in the Shadows and Wellington Paranormal for research purposes, working on a script in that tone with using that kind of tone because that is my gimmick, that Taika shtick.
Taika Waititi Thomas.
You literally stumped me because I'm like, is that good? Is that bad? How do I feel about that? That was kind of damn. You know what?
Are you liking What We Do in the Shadows? Season 2, is it airing right now? I've never gotten into it, but I know people love it.
Dude, season 3 is airing right now.
Oh, okay. Sorry, season 3.
It is just absolutely amazing, man. I love it so much. David, are you here now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey,
how we doing, guys?
Good. Who's that handsome gentleman?
Yeah. What the heck? Haven't been here in a while. I heard someone talking shit about Daredevil. Had to hop on. Daredevil is the best Marvel show that's ever been. Better than Loki, better than WandaVision, better than Falcon and Winter Soldier. Season 2 is okay, but 1 and 3 are amazing. Full disclosure, I wasn't even involved in any of this show today, but I saw you guys were live. Just did some CPR training. Got home, hopped on the call, and here I am.
So you can save a life now.
Yeah, if anyone falls over, I'm ready. Got my Marvel shirt. I'm in.
You're in. We're all in our own universe here. He's got the Star Wars, you've got the Marvel, I've got NFL to balance this out.
There we go.
Gotta be a fun surprise.
Matt Rimke says, kick him off the show. That would be so much fun. You know what? I've also been really quick watching Titans. What If? Shocker. Football. Also shocker. Speaking of Matt Rimke, I've been doing a lot of podcast work. And congratulations to friends of the show, Matt Rimke and Liam Crowley, on 50 episodes of the Direct podcast. Oh, yes. Thank you for inviting David and I on to compete in the first ever tag team draft over on the Direct podcast, where we drafted the best voices across Marvel, Star Wars, and DC. Ladies and gentlemen, go take a listen to that wherever you get your podcast. And then, of course, vote for Team LightsThunderAction, because we definitely got all 5 of our picks and didn't have to tangent really at all.
It's the clear winner. It was the clear winner of the night. I don't know. Matt's gonna post at some point on the MCU Direct and probably some others like the voting and all that. So please go vote.
The official vote and the graphics, which he has control of the graphics. So I'm worried about the Matrix. David, what have you been watching other than a lot of kids write down notes?
Yeah, no, it's funny. So in my class, on I literally been watching What If in class. So there's like at school, it's called Power Hour, where like lunch happens, but it's like a full hour. And you know, some of the kids like me, and they started to come into my classroom and ask if they'd eat lunch in there and stuff. And it was Wednesday, and I'm like, you know, I'm watching What If. I can access Disney Plus on there, and they just sit down and we all watch it. And then I think the next day, Thursday, or was it one of the previous next 2 days, I brought it up in one of my classes, and they're like, "You did what? You were watching it in here? That's so awesome!" So yeah, I've been watching What If. I've been watching a lot of Bachelor in Paradise with my girlfriend. That's been okay. I watched The Bachelors with her, like Bachelor, Bachelorette, or whatever. Bachelor in Paradise is actually pretty good. I like how, because with those Bachelor shows, I've never liked how it's one person and everyone pining over them. That just makes no sense to me. Like, that's not realistic at all. At least with this Paradise thing, people can have more unique and like individual relationships and not be like forced to like this person. And we've seen it sometimes in that show where it's like it gets to the final 3 people or the final 2, and one just leaves. And it's like, nah, I'm good. Like, this was fun. I'm glad I got a bunch of Instagram followers now. I hope I'm the Bachelor one day, but I'm out. So I've been watching that. That's pretty much it. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. I'm up to date with What If at this point, because I wasn't for a while, and then I kind of caught up the last 3 weeks. But yeah, that's been about it. Some football tomorrow. Can't wait. I see your
Cowboys. 10 a.m.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. It's 10 a.m. over there, Klein?
Yeah. Football starts at 10 here, so I get to wake up and watch the Bills over breakfast. It's gonna be awesome.
That's awesome. My God.
Yeah,
I'm jelly. I'm so
that's
jealous.
Like an incredible experience, because here it's the afternoon, and then all of a sudden it's like when the 4 o'clock games are wrapping up, it's like, oh no, Monday's coming. Like there, it's probably not as bad, because you have to wait around a little while. Anyway,
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have a buddy who all last season, every Sunday, I would go to his house and he would make me breakfast, and we would watch football all day, watch Red Zone, and just hang out. But he is actually on an international business trip right now. So yesterday he was in Chicago, went to a Cubs game, then to a White Sox game. Then he is going to a University of Illinois, I think. Football game tonight, then driving to the Colts to see the Colts play tomorrow in Indianapolis.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
He's
So
getting the full American experience.
I know.
He's living the fucking dream.
This dude is all sports all the time, and so like he's hanging out, he's sending me photos of beers that are this tall, and just
wow.
Yeah.
Do you have Red Zone locked and loaded for tomorrow yourself, at least?
Yeah, I do. I get a free subscription through work. So
beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a brief ad break and we'll be right back. But we wanted to remind you that you can come meet David and I, the Thunder Buddies, at Suncoast Fan Fest, September 24th through the 26th. There are also a lot of people that you might know from famous stuff. That was a terrible lead in, but whatever. We will have the Car Baby from Supernatural, Casper Van Dien from, Starship Troopers, Elena Huffman from
Lucifer himself.
Supernatural, because I couldn't remember, and a host of others. I know that there was supposed to be, Mano Intereme from Star Trek Voyager, but I'm not as up to date on the happenings as I should be. So we'll be right back. We love you. Don't go anywhere. J. Bauer Art has the graphic design skills you need to develop your next logo, and at an affordable price. But he's not just a one-trick pony. Follow J. Bauer Art on social media to interact during live paintings and see all of his previous artwork, which you can buy exclusively at jbauerartshop.com. Not only is he an artist, this beautiful son of a blue brings you the Back Talk with Bauer podcast every week with unique guests. And every month, he hosts a special Back Talk with Friends episode that can only be described as chaotic and hilarious. Need a video intro or commercial? J Bauer Art has you covered. For all of this and more, follow J Bauer Art on social media. That's JBAUERART. Check out jbauerart.com for a full portfolio and jbauerartshop.com to buy that special painting for you and your loved ones. A small town coroner has to team up with her ex-fiancé to save her town from a swarm of mutant honeybees. There's action, drama, humor, maybe even a flamethrower or two. There's definitely a ton of bad bee puns and a very unlikely Hawaiian-wearing hero. This classic sci-fi feature cheese fest, written and directed by Alicia Marie and starring local talent from the Emerald Coast, invites you to join our journey from conception to reception by visiting Linktr.com/Zombeez the movie to keep up with all the buzz and donate to GoFundMe. That's Linktr.com/Zombeez the movie, ZOMBEEZ the movie. And we're back, and it is now time. You know, I made this graphic earlier, and
Thomas.
David,
Are we doing news?
No.
I know. You said that earlier, and I'm going to bring in one piece of news.
You son of a
This
beautiful family.
This guy isn't even invited. And
you weren't even supposed to be here today. Ladies and gentlemen,
the party.
Let's see if I can remember that because I deleted it. David Thompson is a beautiful journalist from bringing you news from across the multiverse. He works for the direct.com. He works for the disinsider.com. And that is why you love seeing him here every week for your favorite segment. What the news?
What the news, apparently.
All right. This is the news, right? We got 4 of these untitled movies. February 2024, May 2024, July 2024, November 2024. There's 5 movies slated for 2023. We know what some of them are.
MCU movies, right? Yeah.
These, Marvel Studios MCU movies. Sorry. What do you guys have a take? I'm gonna start with this. I tweeted out a little while ago that I said it was a hot take that one of these is the Scarlet Witch, like a Wanda movie. Klein, do you have any thoughts? I don't know what happened to Thomas. Oh, Thomas is back.
Oh man.
Any thoughts? So like, I mean, this could be Avengers 5. We're talking what
I know, I'm thinking about your Scarlet Witch take. I really like that. I really like that.
I truly believe that her story won't be done after Multiverse of Madness. I don't see them going back to a Disney Plus series with that character. I think WandaVision was such a unique experience. I could see where she's going to keep evolving. And I think Matt and Russ from the direct.com were kind of discussing in the comments, the replies, that Russ was kind of against it, like probably not. And then Matt came back with, what if it's an Avengers 5 House of M, or like, you know, an Avengers like event with Wanda being like the villain. I think that'd be phenomenal. I think it could be a through line to the X-Men too.
That's what I was gonna say. I think her story is going to not end, but I think this arc of it is going to end in her somehow being like really, really closely tied to the X-Men, even potentially being, I don't think she would be the Professor X, but potentially being like close to a Professor X.
Oh,
I don't think she would be the Magneto, but I can see her being very, very closely tied to the creation of the X-Men or the Legion of Mutants or whatever. As for the dates, I think one of them is an Avengers 5. I think Fantastic Four would be in there because that timing would work out very well.
Right.
Because I don't think that would be 2023 because that's only 2 years from now. They've got a lot of work to do on that movie still. I do think that when they announced it, it was very much, they showed us literally everything they had. Maybe not everything, like they probably have light story notes, but like they had a name, they had a director tied to it. I think that they have not even started work, or they've very, very early in that. So I think that one of those 24 dates is that.
I would agree.
I'm going to
Shang-Chi
challenge
too.
I will challenge that one in a minute.
Okay.
I like Shang-Chi 2 a lot. That's 3 years from now. Say that I think that could be a prime time July spot. Is a second Shang-Chi. Some people were saying Eternals too. Could one of these? You know, what's funny is we don't.
Could one of these be
Spider-Man's
dead?
gonna have another movie. Like Sony, and these won't count probably because these are Disney dates. So there could be a fifth one in here that's like shoehorned in as Spider-Man, or not. Maybe they are placeholding one of these for Spider-Man. But we've seen before where Sony's like, we want to pump one of these out every 2 years. That is literally their goal, is to pump out a new Spider-Man solo movie every 2 years. That's what we've seen for the last decade, since 2012, since Amazing Spider-Man. Every 2 years, we're getting a new Spider-Man. I think that year, and that'll technically be 3 years. So I think we're definitely, at least by 2024, getting a new Spider-Man. Do we see Captain America? That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think we see Cap in there. Do we think that these are Phase 4 movies, or is one of these the end? I bet you maybe not the last one, or like the second to last one is end of Phase 4, and then the kind of epilogue of Phase 4 is that fifth one. I think Fantastic Four is that last date. I think Fantastic Four is the first movie, or that kind of Far From Home epilogue of Phase 4. I think this takes us right to the end of Phase 4.
Yeah, what's funny is I know there's still phases. I know Feige has said Phase 3 and Phase 4.
Yeah,
my head has just been like, they're not phases anymore. I feel like we're in a post-phase reality where I with the Disney Plus shows and stuff, I feel like we would need an Avengers film to like slice.
Well, that's what I think we're gonna get.
Right.
I think
so maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
Avengers 5.
Is that Secret Wars then? Because with all this multiverse stuff happening,
I think
we have to finish that story.
I think we are
but
another Avengers movie away from Secret Wars.
Yeah, same.
That's too. I think people are gonna get tired of multiverse.
See, here's the first off, fuck the people if you're tired of the multiverse. Like, that's my official take. If you're tired of the multiverse,
just introduced to it. This is only 3 years down the line. Like, think about how long we sat on that Thanos. Like, just that tease. We sat on that forever, and people didn't get tired of seeing him. People sure were eventually like, I want to see the glove. But they were very good at doing these little teases. I think if they do that for Secret Wars, I know a lot of people are building up Kang to be that, and I think he will be a part of that. Yeah. I don't know if you can sprinkle as many little drops as you can, or as you could with Thanos, as you with Kang, but with the multiverse itself and Secret Wars, you can do those little just breadcrumb drops here and there.
Right. I think, and two villains that we got to see somewhere coming up. And I know, Thomas, you're going to be all over one of these. Galactus and Doom. Doom has got to come in. And I think I really, I'm starting to paint a picture here. I like what Klein said. If that November date is Fantastic Four and it acts as kind of like a continuation and a transition into that next phase, introducing Doom there as a big bad, and maybe even not in the big bad of that film, but introducing him as a character to set him up for an eventual like Doom, Kang kind of having those interactions like we had in the comics and getting that in Avengers 6 or whatever. I'm so down for that. Thomas, what do you think of our thoughts? And then do you have any other suggestions for what could be in those dates?
Yeah, that's a lot to encompass.
Or whatever.
And we have to remember the mutants of all this. Yeah, because that's been announced.
So these are just film slates. So it took 23 movies before they built up to Endgame. Are they going to do the same thing? Like, you're talking, maybe it's phases. Phases are out. Our phases out. We won't know until a couple years when we're told. Right now, it seems to be a nexus point of creative energy that is just branching into all the multiverses, allowing for Marvel Studios to do whatever it is Kevin Feige's trying to do. I don't know if we get Secret Wars before an Avengers film. In fact, I don't think we will. We had 3 Avengers films before Endgame. So that's how I'm kind of looking at it. We'll probably need a big team ups, big tent poles to kind of get us there. I think what they're doing is going more into the comics and how they're We've got these stories, these on the ground stories, which so far outside of Loki is been what Disney Plus has been. We got Kamala Khan coming up, Hawkeye, etc. And then so far the movies have been insanely big. You know,
I don't know if they'll all be like that though, right? Like we just right now we're in a little bit of a trend. Do you think Wakanda Forever is going to be like that? Like I don't think that's going to be some crazy universe altering thing.
Atlantis.
Yeah, I guess.
Namor is the first.
I wouldn't even call Shang-Chi that massive.
I think it'll be in that similar vein, personally.
And Shang-Chi vein?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they start out small and then all of a sudden they go huge with dragons and the multiverse. Gotcha. Okay.
So one other thing I want to point out while we're talking about these 2024 dates is there are still 3 unannounced 2023 dates. So it's not even like that. That year's not even booked. That could end up being Spider-Man, honestly, somewhere in there. So 2023, as of right now, we have Ant-Man in February, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in May. And then there's an empty July, October, and November slot. Which
I think 2023 is we get Deadpool in there.
Ooh. And people are speculating Blade's in there, you'd think. October.
Oh, yeah. I keep completely forgetting about Blade.
I'm starting to think that actually,
I
think Fantastic Four is probably in 2023 because they've already announced it. It's already like a discussion from almost a year ago.
Do you think we get Fantastic Four before Blade, though?
No. I don't know if we're going to get Fantastic Four in 2023, David. We're nearing the end of 2021. They still have to film it, cast it.
They have to cast it. Yeah.
All that stuff. Unless they've cast it.
We don't know.
I'm not worried about a script because seeing how they broke ground on Endgame and Infinity War while working on Civil War is kind of gives you what they're doing. I think John Watts and Kevin Feige are deep into the story. Maybe already have a couple drafts of the script done because they work the story together and then they give it to the writer that they have. So Fantastic Four could be, a couple months away from production.
That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know about 2023.
I don't know.
Like the end of 2023, maybe not. I mean, it really depends on how far into VFX they are as well.
Yeah.
You do have to start that early.
Yeah, because Watt's next project, you would assume, is Fantastic Four once he wraps. Like, once it's 2022, basically, I would imagine all of his attention is getting shifted towards Fantastic Four, and then there's going to be a new... That's the thing with the multiverse, too, I want to point out. I feel like there's going to be a new director for that next Spider-Man trilogy, which I'm expecting. And I would think that story after No Way Home is going to shrink a little bit and become
I think they're going to be friendly neighborhood.
Yeah.
More New York based kind of
college, maybe some like grittier villains. They're going to do something with the Sonyverse as well. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he's fighting Venom and
Craven.
Yeah. I'd love to see him fight Craven.
Oh, Andrew Garfield? Yeah, I agree.
Who knows, man? Who knows? All right. Well, that was my What the News. I'm sorry I intruded.
It's cool. I like it because I'm glad you said that. I kind of forgot. We would have gotten to it later at the Shang-Chi part because one of the notes is one of the notes I have is post credits, aka the future for Shang-Chi. But before we get to Shang-Chi, we're hearing what if. Oh, really quick. There's a bunch of comments here. There's a question in the comments, but before I get to it, does anyone on this screen watch Doctor Who?
I have seen 3 total episodes of Doctor Who.
Benjamin James Miller, I'm sorry, we cannot answer your question because we have not. We are not familiar with whom we would pick for Doctor.
Is Benedict Cumberbatch an answer?
He is not.
No. He was Sherlock. Same network.
Yeah. Same thing,
right?
But different.
Oh, okay.
But that brings us to everyone's favorite question of what if. And really quick, I don't really have notes. It's just what if season 1 so far. Episode 1, obviously, we briefly discussed it. Peggy is the first Avenger, if you will, as Captain Carter. Episode 2 brought back T'Challa. I think that's the one we talked about, David. T'Challa and Thanos come back. And then 3 was my personal favorite, the murder mystery.
Really? That's funny.
I like murder mysteries a lot.
Mhm.
4 was the darkest thing I've ever watched in my entire life, and I've
I think
seen
four was my favorite so far. I
Two's
think.
my favorite, so that's funny.
intrigue.
Yeah.
4 was the Doctor Strange Goes Dark episode, which revealed a lot, and I do question he's not dead. Let's remember that. And his tunic was it was like comic accurate at a certain point where it looked exactly like it looked in the comics, and we've seen images of concept art of Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness with like the white outlines here. Is that got something to do with it? He's in some kind of crystalline protective shell of what's left of his universe, and he also like ate all these demons, so he could come back
It was
Doctor Strange and the Mom.
Yeah, it was funny. I saw a comment on Twitter saying like that would have made a great Multiverse of Madness plot. not necessarily, but like possibly. And the fact that there's like a rumor going around that Peggy Carter's Agent Carter could pop up in that movie, I'm starting to get hints and thoughts that. And additionally, Cumberbatch just told, I think it was Variety, that Multiverse of Madness is gonna rival No Way Home for the most ambitious solo film. Because Holland said that like a year ago. He was like, this is gonna be the most ambitious solo movie of all time, comic book wise. And I think there could be some what if tie-ins to that film. Like, what if someone just pops? What if someone just pops up from our animated show? And it could easily happen. There's alternate versions of these characters, and I think I like
Watcher?
that.
Yes.
The fact that Doctor Strange was aware of the Watcher in that episode.
I think by the end of this, show, I think because they haven't necessarily been all that tied together except for the Watcher, but I think by the end of this show, it's going to become pretty clear that Jeffrey Wright's not done in the MCU. Like I think that he will show up somewhere. I don't know how. I don't think you hire somebody like Jeffrey Wright for a role like that without having future plans for it.
Is he in Eternals?
That's
what I was thinking too.
Like, what is that movie gonna be? Where does that movie like rank in the tier of
Cosmos?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it in Shang-Chi,
awareness.
but I think that Shang-Chi is going to be very closely tied to Eternals.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that theory. Okay.
I like that idea that you got there, David. And episode 5, the most recent one, which does put us over the hump of halfway through the What If season so far. Sad face. Is the zombie episode, which is my second favorite, and I've watched it more than my favorite one. I've watched it like 5 times. I've just tossed it on because it is so good.
This is a very popcorn. I was gonna say this is a popcorn. Yeah, it's a very like toss-onable show.
Yeah,
like it's just like now that I've watched them, I think actually Liam said it on the direct podcast. He was like, now that you like watch it once, it's like, oh, you can just throw it on at any time, and it's enjoyable and it's fun. So I totally agree. Also, this might be my second favorite episode just because of Spider-Man. I loved Spider-Man in this. They did a great job with him.
I hate to, I don't know what's the phrase, yuck your yum a little bit, but like the Zombeez one, the whole show so far has been fun, and I'm glad it gives me very serious like Saturday morning cartoon vibe, which I haven't felt in a very long time. Like it makes me want to sit there with a bowl of Fruit Loops and just eat processed sugar. But I've found it a little, it's been a little, the format itself has been a little shaky. I think the only reason I've had issues is just pacing. Like I just think these episodes are just I said it during our fantasy football draft. Actually, I said that the Zombeez episode, it was the fastest 35 whatever minutes I've ever felt, because it was literally just like boom, 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 done.
The best
and
pacing,
I'm like, I wish we could have spent a little more time. I was really, really looking forward to this episode. I know people love the Marvel Zombies comics. They did present little cool things. I liked the Vision and the zombie Wanda was super cool. I wish we could have stayed on that for a little longer and even had it end there, or gotten this being part 1 and getting a second part in this season. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's not my favorite Phase 4 project by any means. And I think it's cool. I'm excited because you have a conglomerate like Disney and Marvel who are trying things. And I think that is something that doesn't happen enough with these big properties, especially now, that they are the cash cow that they are. You see it with Star Wars with Vision, or you're going to see it with Visions. You're seeing it here with this. They're trying some things and they're taking some risks. And I don't want to, I don't know. I don't want negativity to make them pull back and go, oh, no, we need to stick with what works.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm enjoying it, but I think that it could have been a lot better so far.
So I'm right there with you, Klein. Like, I'm having fun with it. I think the first episode was the weakest so far to me, where it didn't shy away too much. Like, I liked episode 2 so much because it was like one thing changed and there was this whole butterfly effect. And I agree, the pacing has been terrible in every episode, in my opinion, except for the Doctor Strange one.
The worst episodes so far have been when they've tried to retell a whole movie.
Yeah.
In even the Doctor Strange one, where it did get into, like, they ran through the whole first movie in like 5 minutes, so I was okay with that. But yeah, the Captain Carter episode where we're just going to tell the whole story First Avenger in 30 minutes, you didn't have time to breathe at all. It would have been better if it had been what if she was the first Avenger, and then you don't even show the origin or anything. She's the first Avenger. Here she is from halfway through that movie to the end, or even just the climax of that movie to the end.
Yeah. I think they've done too much in this show to be fan servicey and re-show us stuff we've already seen. That's just my opinion. Like I said, I've had fun with it. I think the pacing's been a little bit off. Even this episode, the only reason I said it'd be my second favorite, because I don't really know. I just loved Spider-Man and I'm just biased towards him. But this episode, the Zombeez thing, I actually wasn't all that into. And one big reason was because it seemed like, this was complete hell and everyone was acting way too upbeat for me. Like, I feel like this had been like a movie.
It would have been a lot better if it had been a whole lot more dour. Like, just these people have been through hell and they are survivors. Whereas in this, you had Paul Rudd, who's hilarious, and I love every time he's on screen, but he's joking about being a head in a jar. I'm also upset that we're not going to get, in that poster for What If, you had Spidey in the Doctor Strange cloak, and that was just from this episode because the cloak, it's not because he became Doctor Strange or anything, it's because he had the cloak on him. So I'm upset that we're not going to get like Spidey Strange at all, but
wait for No Way Home.
We'll see it in No Way Home.
Thomas, you've been too quiet. We've been talking way too much. I feel like you really like this episode and this show, so I want to hear all about it.
I do. I agree. Episode 1 is the weakest. They shoved way too much. Pacing definitely for this show is the issue. Episode 5 is like the shortest episode, it feels like, and episode 4 is the longest episode, it feels like. I don't like watching people die. So it's why I don't normally watch horror movies and stuff like that, because I get attached to characters and then I kill them. So watching the murder mystery episode, it's a surprise. It's my favorite because you're watching everyone. You're like, oh no, they're going to die, aren't they? And then they do. But the plot and how it's tied together is great. They're taking big chances. Yeah. And each episode, I think, is better than the previous in terms of how they are executing those big swings, and how they will hit you with a finality. And you're just like, wait a minute, what? Like, they get that same they evoke the same thing as when we watch WandaVision and it ends and you go, no, right? Except for Zombeez. I was just like, well, that world just went to shit. But I loved this episode for Spidey. And you guys are saying they're a little too upbeat. It's only been 2 weeks, guys. That's not enough time to grieve and to cope. And when the entire world's going to crap and you're just trying to survive, there is no time to cope. You kind of just have to move on a little bit and keep everyone else around you alive.
I did like the way they introduced Zombeez, that it was very true to the MCU. It wasn't like just some random dumb thing that would be a brand new idea, just kind of like, oh, it happened. I liked how it was like the quantum realm. That's those moments. It's such a fun show. Like, I love how they just like take things that we already know and twist it a little, and then it goes off on this crazy other adventure. Like that, they are nailing that aspect of it to me.
For sure. And I think, I love the quantum realm introduction as well, because as we know, that is so far our theory to our path to time travel, as far as we know so far. But then they mentioned in an interview that when they were creating the quantum realm instead of the microverse, is that the quantum realm would allow more opportunities for storytelling because of, the quantum theories that exist, as well as, it's an entire reality that is not the same as our own. Now, episode 4, when the universe was destroying and, it was milky, like it was becoming black sludge, was so very reminiscent of like Dormammu, right? From Doctor Strange, and how they kind of did that, but it wasn't the same. And it was reminiscent of being dusted away, but again, not the same. I'm really curious as to where they're going. I think that episode is the one that is most likely to tie in, like directly in some form or fashion. Like, what happened to him in that will matter more in the future if he shows up than any other character we might get.
The idea of there being 2 Doctor Stranges, I feel like would be amazing in live action. Just in general. It's almost like a shame, because if that's the only time they're going to do it in an episode, it's like, that could have been really cool in the movie, man. That could have been amazing.
And I got a feeling that they, I get this feeling that they just kind of hinted at it. Like, oh, by the way, there were 2 in this timeline at the same time. Oh, look, he lost. Big deal. And they glossed over it so fast that I genuinely think that that's something that's going to happen. Like, he's going to have to fight and come to terms, because that's just, Mom, Multiverse of Madness. I'm just going to keep calling it Mom, because it's so big that it puts a fist down.
One thing I wanted to say,
Zombeez.
Oh, sorry.
Really quick. Spider-Man. This shows you why Spider-Man should never leave the MCU. This episode, because everyone, we were talking before, Klein, David, you weren't here, but we were talking about people's take on the Uncle Ben in the MCU and blah blah blah, and he's really
just Iron Man Jr., guys.
Iron Man Jr. and blah 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 blah, and I'm just like, maybe you don't understand how storytelling works, kids, but it's called twists. Like, oh no, they didn't show us Uncle Ben dying again. I'm okay. I'm fine. I don't need to.
Whereas I think if they had again, the same people would be like, ugh, like we've already seen it twice. Like, think about how many times we've seen Bruce Wayne's parents die, and every time
every movie, the Joker killed his parents in Joker.
I know that. That's a thing. Like, I enjoyed that they brought up his parents both dying and Uncle Ben in this episode, because we have not gotten that.
That's the first time the name Uncle Ben has been mentioned, right? In the MCU.
That is surprising, right? I mean, I understand where you wouldn't want to see it again, but the fact that there's been zero actual name drop mentioned, there's been moments where Peter's been like, everything that May's going through recently, like there's been those moments where we know what he's talking about. But
in Far From Home, doesn't his suitcase have like something it's I remember that being a thing,
which he leaves, by the way, in Europe, and it's gone. Because when he gets back from the airport, he has no bags. It's like, all right, well, there was that. Anyway,
see, that was the death of Uncle Ben's suitcase.
we got that at least.
We got that. Some of
Thomas.
Yes.
One thing.
Ask questions about this episode. Sure.
Going back to the multiverse episode, or the Doctor Strange episode, the absolute point bit, I really want to hear more of that in the MCU going forward. I feel like that has to be a thing.
Did you see what the director or
the Nexus point thing? Yeah.
How they were like, I guess it should be a Nexus point or an absolute point or a Nexus event, whatever.
Well, have you guys heard about the meeting that they had at Marvel Studios? So they had, rumors is they've had a multiverse meeting, which I would have paid inordinate amount of money to be in that room.
And it's not a rumor. Feige said it on a podcast.
They had it. So we're, as an audience member, they need to make this make sense, and I think that they're going to. I think by the end of this we will have a glossary of terms that it's like, okay, so this is what this means, and they need to make it make sense, not just to us but to Jim and his 2 kids down the street who want to go see Shang-Chi because it's a cool superhero movie. Right. And I think they're going to. And I know these terms right now are a little like, I don't know. They seem to be throwing them around and not really knowing why, but I think they do. I think they do know why.
Yeah. Well, and I saw somebody bitching on Twitter because that's what Twitter does. And it was like, why would you, oh God, there they go. They have no idea what they're doing. They're just throwing words around, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you clearly didn't read the article or understand how animation works. They've been writing, it's out now. They've been working on it since 2019.
Animation takes forever and it's expensive because it takes forever. So this has been in the works for a long time. This right now, of all the MCU series that have come out this year, this one probably started the earliest amongst all of them, just because it takes so long.
They were, let's look at it, just Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, right? It's supposed to come out in, David, March, right?
March 25th, my girlfriend's birthday.
March 25th, boom. So we're 6 months away from that. They've admitted that they didn't have a finished third act while working on that movie. Mm-hmm. So that means they're writing while they're filming, and in editing, they're still writing. They're always changing. You can't do that with animation.
You know what I think
animation
that is?
Has to be written and set in stone because you have limited financial options for changes.
That's an excellent point. And you know what I think that is with Multiverse of Madness? Spider-Man was never supposed to come out initially before Multiverse of Madness. It was supposed to come out afterwards.
You're fucking
right. I think the Spider-Man movie that we're getting was going to be an entirely different film 2 years ago. I don't think that was ever the plan. And then suddenly it was like, wouldn't that be an idea? Right? We can do this whole identity thing and then also do the multiverse. I truly believe they've done a buttload of rearranging this, there, and the other. WandaVision was supposed to end and go into Doctor Strange. That is not happening at all anymore, right? We're going to get Wanda in it still, and there's going to be that connection, but it's not going to be the same flow. And I think that's part of the reason why Multiverse of Madness is still trying to work through and had to work through the plot points and how to connect it all, because as Benedict Cumberbatch said, it's going to be ambitious. We're going to see some folks in that movie, man. We're going to see some people.
Avengers 4.5 and 4.6.
I'm just excited to see they've described this Doctor Strange movie as the first MCU horror movie, and I want to see what that means. I want to see, especially with what we know now with multiverse and stuff, because I think a lot of people keep thinking it is going to be, we've seen Loki, so it's gonna be similar to Loki. I don't think it is. I think it's gonna be different. I think it's gonna get dark.
I think we're gonna see the dark side of it, right? And Wanda's gonna be at the core of that. I believe there's gonna be some witchy stuff going on.
You don't bring Sam Raimi in to fuck around, for lack of a better term.
No, seriously.
But Scott Derrickson also said way back when, it was going to be a horror movie, and it sounds like they weren't. It seems as if they couldn't agree on the tone and the scope of the script, aka Marvel needed it to get bigger and Scott wanted it to be smaller, is the vibe that I get, which, hey, I understand. But you got to do what you got to do. So you bring in Raimi, and Scott Derrickson, but mind you, is still producing this film. He's still a part of it in some fashion. You bring in Raimi. He's a big hitter. He swings for the fences. He literally got his start by asking local businesses, him and Bruce Campbell and his friends, hey, can you loan us this amount of money? They use their parents' credit. They got the camera equipment they need, and small crew. They filmed Evil Dead #1, and it blew up.
Well, Raimi,
the second one. So
a Raimi horror movie is going to be very different than a Derrickson horror movie, I think. Or I don't think it's actually going to be a horror movie, but you tell the kind of movie you're going to get based on Raimi being involved.
Yeah, it'll be horror elements. It's not going to be a horror film.
No, it's not going to be a horror film.
Going to be a
They'll never. But I'm glad you brought that up, because episode 4, episode 3, and this episode all really introduced some horror elements, whether it be thematic and for the jump scare. Oh my God, no, I totally jump scared you. I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. hello there, Baba Yaga. Like those built up, and I'm not gonna lie, a couple of them really fucking got me because I think I woke up that day randomly at 3 a.m. for no reason and was like, well, I'm up. I guess I'll watch What If.
Yeah.
Bad move. And then episode 3 was really just the horror of like, oh no, I know this person's about to die. I don't know how they're gonna die, and I don't know why they're dying. So it's a whole different kind of thing. If you take all 3 of those, a jump scare here or there, which all Marvel movies give me a jump scare in every movie. There's always something that'll happen. You know, Black Widow, it's when she gets T-boned while driving. That freaks me out.
Mine is the one in Avengers that freaks me out with the Hulk when he's chasing Black Widow.
Oh my God,
and it's dead silent, and she's like hiding, and also it's like, oh, that used to freak me out. Still kind of does.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's another good one. But then you take the thing, and again, man, I think episode 4 of What If is gonna be.
Do we know what next week is? What if wise? No, not yet.
I don't think.
I
so.
I
What's
saw
left from marketing.
Okay, so
well, I think we've seen everything except for we haven't seen the Ultron one where the Ultron gets the glove, right?
episode 6 promo has Killmonger.
This and Killmonger saving Iron Man.
Right.
That's another one we haven't seen.
Oh, I want to see that one.
I'm trying to. There's
the one with Gamora too, where she looks like she's like Thanos of that universe. Remember on the poster, she's got his like blade. And that was not in the T'Challa episode, him being Star-Lord. That was not involved. So that's still coming as well.
Have you guys seen the mid-season sneak peek trailer?
No, I haven't.
No.
Wait,
so do they?
Sure. I actually really want to watch that because I have no idea what's coming up next. That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah. From what we have seen, like I'm trying to think the poster. There's Ultron. There's the Killmonger, Tony. There's Gamora. I think that's everything on the poster, but there's more episodes, right?
Yeah.
We're halfway.
It's 9. So yeah, a little over halfway.
Okay. Here we go.
The war ended.
When did this come out?
Like 2 or 3 days ago. So it looks like we're getting semblant things we've already seen.
Okay, so yeah, we just saw that.
Saw that as well.
That was pretty cool.
Here we go. Oh man,
reality is not a straight line. Every
that-
passing moment.
that looked exactly the same. Oh,
New offshoot.
was that more
For a
people?
new offshoot.
Whoa, go back.
It's a
Oh my
chance for
God.
Well, we
guys.
haven't seen that.
passing moment.
We haven't seen
that's
that.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Are they with them, or is that a different Avengers?
Holy
I'm pretty sure
bejesus.
this-
Wait, I bet you this is from from the Ultron episode. So these are the Avengers in that Ultron universe.
Of the Peggy Carter T'Challa episode universe. I think that's T'Challa.
Okay, so
Yeah,
yes,
he's got the purple eyes.
We've got Captain Carter, Gamora in the Thanos armor with the Thanos copter blade.
Did she like kind of take over when Thanos was like,
Well,
I'm out?
We'll find out. We've got T'Challa Star-Lord. We've got Killmonger, Black Panther.
Bro Thor.
And Bro Thor with a fucking tattoo. Let's go.
Yeah, there has been talk about Bro Thor a bit in the last. I've
It's
seen
not
in the
Bro
last couple.
Thor.
Look
It's
at-
Party Thor.
No,
Thor's the fat
yeah.
one from Endgame. Sorry.
Hey, look at this image that you can see on your screen if you're watching us. It is at 35 seconds in this trailer from Screen Culture. It looks like it's layered. That some of the images we've seen are from different.
It's kind of the timeline branching.
Yeah, the branches
with
and how
images
they're
layered over
overlapped.
top of one another.
All right, here we go. Now we're back in
Interesting.
just watching. Ultron,
That's Ultron for sure.
Killmonger.
Ultron.
That's the next episode. Oh,
It cannot be.
oh my God! Is that? That's an Ultron. Thanos.
Galactus E.
Thank you. It's an Ultron Vision that is looking like the Watcher or Galactus.
That literally look. Yeah, that's like you can see that's kind of like the Vision Ultron bot. But
Mhm.
why is it like that? What?
I know with
Does
red
it become
glowing
sentient
eyes.
in that universe?
Maybe he. Maybe
Is that
he
how
takes over the
Ultron wins? Is he gets the Vision body?
Yeah.
Doesn't he
Higher
have
power.
the Infinity Gauntlet?
He does.
Well, there you go.
This could
So
be-
we'll find out. That's going to be hype.
Cannot
That could just be like a projection.
Here we go. It cannot be. That's from last week.
We're in.
What?
Wait,
What?
It appears we have a common enemy.
I guess I have to freestyle then. Do we know each other?
Is it Michael B.
was
Jordan?
that Captain Carter talking to Strange?
Yes.
Reality or a construct.
Oh
That
yeah.
was.
Oh, that's Dark
He
Strange,
could rebuild.
and that's a freaking ad placement with the car.
Are they? What is?
Are the last two episodes gonna tell one
Avengers?
story culminating? Yeah. Is it gonna be like this was phase 1 of What If? This
I'm
is the
so
Avengers
in on that.
of What
If
If?
that's the case, I'm so in on that. It's clearly leading to this team up.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Is that
Go back
Widow
to
with
it.
the shield?
That's Widow with a shield.
With a shield.
A shield. I don't know
The
what
Taskmaster shield.
it might
Oh,
be.
Lord.
I mean,
No.
it looks like it's got a star potentially. Maybe Red Guardians.
Maybe. She's in an interesting costume.
But you were asking if that was
Is James Spader back,
That's-
by the way?
you.
Please,
this
God,
right here.
yes.
Yeah,
Right
see,
there.
that's
Straight up,
Yeah,
and that's inside.
that's dark. Yeah.
That's Dark Strange. I
Beautiful.
wonder if. My God.
How did that episode end?
With him in a crystal ball.
It appears
Right. There was that
There we
purple
go.
ball
Young
from the
Shuri.
beginning of this trailer, right?
But here's the thing, David, is with that overlapping, is it's all permutation. So it could be one slight change in that universe made it so that he joined the Avengers now.
Yeah.
So, like,
maybe that's that
because-
layering we saw
Yeah.
in the branches where it's like even then there's
Mhm.
like
There's the what
Infinite
if in the what
possibilities.
if. Yeah.
Right.
David, this is how
Even
that
if it
last
might bring
episode
an
ended.
end to the
Just like that. With
right, and he's
Doctor
in
Strange.
he's inside.
and he's in his crystalline ball structure, which is like gonna protect him. Apparently,
Honestly, that episode might be my favorite. I think it's still episode 2 for me, but I think Doctor Strange is definitely my second favorite. I loved the elements of it with Wong and the Ancient One. I think it got me very excited for Multiverse of Madness. All those kinds of like mythical, mystic things. I want to go back into that world so bad, like where there's all these different things you can do in spells and books to read. I love like the kind of academia of it all. It's so cool, and I just love how Strange can. It's like he's a brilliant guy, so he just reads these books and figures it out, and goes from this step, this step, this step. Anyway, that was very exciting to watch because I had not seen that, and
No,
I
that was
wasn't
very cool.
expecting some of it because I forgot about Killmonger. Honestly, I completely forgot.
Yeah,
so that looks
I
like this
remembered
next
that.
week.
Is the
which would be-
Killmonger one?
Yeah, episode 6. So then we've got 7, 8, and 9. So 3 left.
7? Well, we have. So what do we have left that we need to see? So 7
Okay.
could be Ultron getting the gauntlet. Then we have the last 2 could be a split of the event, like could be just like the Avengers, them taking him down
Oh my God! Yeah, he gets the gauntlet, and that's how he
and kills the
trans-
Avengers.
transfer through universes or something.
Hmm.
Like,
Will there
that
be a
is-
post-credit scene to this show? Do you think?
I love
I
that
think
you
so.
asked that question because Julia Delbell, friend of the show, says she's got a theory. We see one of the characters walking somewhere and turn into live action.
Oh my God!
Like, I can't express how much I would love to watch someone walk through a portal and go from animation to live action. And
My money would be on Peggy Carter,
maybe
if anyone.
Maybe.
She seems like the most set up to continue on that story in live action, in my opinion.
I got goosebumps
she
when
had
you read
one
that,
episode.
Thomas.
Yeah.
She
What'd you
did.
say?
Yeah, she did. I got
Yeah.
goosebumps when you read that.
Yeah.
And Julia also says we've still got Party Thor and Thanos Gamora episodes before the finale.
But we
which
don't
it-
know. We don't know if they're. That's the thing. We know they're
I
in the
was
show.
gonna
We
say-
don't know if they're getting their own episode, right? They
I
could
was
just
gonna
be
say
a
that
part
as
of this
well.
universe or a part of this last kind of.
I think especially
Story.
the Thor. I think the Thor might not get his own episode. That
I-
he has not been hyped at all.
the hype that he's had is being told something that he doesn't comprehend.
Mhm.
So
I could see
It's
him just kind
possible.
of being in that weird,
you know, in that
universe.
murder mystery episode,
Mhm.
it's like the only one that doesn't really have anybody coming in. if you noticed. It's the only one that so far out of everything we've seen, it seems the most standalone, that and the zombies, because every other main character is basically being tied in.
Yeah, the zombies did seem
So-
very standalone. So did that episode. You're right. That episode, I liked how that episode ended with it being Hank.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good twist.
I thought that was a really good twist. Yeah,
they
I think it's funny
turned Hank-
how
I like how they've really quick taken the trope of Hank
Yeah.
Pym being an asshole in the comics and brought it into What If.
twice.
just-
Yeah,
It just blew it into the worst proportions.
yeah.
What were you gonna say, David?
I was gonna say I think it's funny that like Ant-Man elements, Hank Pym, the Quantum Realm have been like the downfall of 2 of these universes. Maybe a hint at Quantumania. I don't know.
Holy shit.
I was like, wait,
what?
it's a third Ant-Man movie. That's right.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Maybe we do see some. Okay, anyways.
Why wouldn't Hank
Maybe
be
he's
upset
the
in that
reason
movie?
maybe he's the reason. He lets Kang out of something.
I still am in the theory zone that there is so much more going on with the quantum realm. Even going back to your theory, Thomas, of like TVA being in the quantum realm, I'm still of the mindset that's where the Fantastic Four are, or that's where they come from somehow.
Yeah, I don't think they go to the Phantom Zone. I think that same with you. I think that they're quantum
I think
realm.
they're trapped. I think they're currently trapped. And I know that's like a very common theory, but I truly believe that like makes sense and is an easy way to bring them in without any like mess or like where have they been this whole time? We can answer that quickly in the quantum realm and in Ant-Man, and that could set them up beautifully to continue on. If they tease the Fantastic Four in a trailer for Ant-Man, everyone's gonna go see that movie. So anyway.
Don't we have something else to talk about today, Thomas?
We do. We're gonna go ahead and take a 60-second-ish ad break so I can get some water. We'll be right back after the jump with Shang-Chi.
We are a touring acoustic duo crashing kitchens around the country. We go from house to house every Friday night and we create music, we create food, a good time, we stream it live and we do it for free. So now we're just really kind of like trying to develop it and build a community group that people believe in, then they'll help us. So we played from our rehearsal room, we played from the bathroom, thankfully that didn't catch on.
I probably played guitar in my room, not for anyone, in front of anyone, nobody heard, for probably about 10 years.
And then one Friday night we played from the kitchen. It's the main place people want to be. It's where the food is, it's where the drink is, it's where the best lighting is. You can go to any party and I guarantee you the kitchen is going to be popping.
Our ultimate goal, I think, would be to crash kitchens every Friday all around the world.
And of course, those are our friends, the Commodore and Billy Floyd, with the Kitchen Killers, who like to crash kitchens, and just very similar to how David liked to crash the party today.
Oh,
Glad you're here, man. I loved it, man. I'm like, oh, look, David's popping in. We're not going to have anything close to a 30-minute show now.
Yeah, I was about to say we would have been done by now.
Probably.
I can bounce if you want. I can just leave.
You're here, bitch. You're staying.
People like the meat on the bone. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's go through Shang-Chi here.
Let's dive into Shang-Chi. I've got actually just actual bullet points. I did prep. I've got 4 points that I think encompass the whole film: plot and action, characters and themes, mythology, post credits, aka the future. So when it comes to plot and action, I think the it's the weirdest movie in that you can feel each act change. You got act 1 right up until the bus fight, then that starts act 2, and then you've got act 2 up until Talo. And then that is the start of act 3. You might even be able to push further in where the start, basically that scene where he admits his faults, right? He tells Katie, I'm going to kill my father. That point could be the real start of act 3. And then, you've got the giant spoiler warning for this, everybody. We're just going to say it now. You got the giant dragon fight. You get a kaiju action. And then the action, specifically the bus fight. Holy shit. That was the greatest piece of action I might have ever seen in my entire life.
The one tracking shot where they're outside the bus and the beats are like the instrumentals going with these like sick hip hop beats, and they track past the bus, and the CGI in that specific shot you can see inside the bus looks a little spotty, but I don't care. Like was so cool, him swinging through the bus as you're on the outside, and when they cut the bus in half, like that whole. Marvel does a very, very, very good job at ramping things up throughout one specific action scene. It's like, okay, there's a fight, and now there's a fight, and they're moving, and now there's a fight, and the thing they're moving on is falling apart. And the way that the rise of action in this specific scene, where oh no, the brakes are out, oh no, the bus, Katie's driving the bus now, oh no, the bus is cut in half. It's just, oh my god! Like this was the moment. I was hooked from the minute this movie started, especially with that beautiful, I'll call it a fight, but between Shang-Chi's mother and father, where they're almost dancing. So good. But this was the moment where I loved this movie. I fell in love with this film during this bus scene. It's just, and the quips, and you have the do a backflip Spider-Man guy on the bus who's just loving it. And he's like, I'm gonna react to this fight, guys. This fight just broke out on the bus. Like, I loved it. That whole action scene might be one of my favorite MCU action scenes, movie action scenes. Like, it's just and it's so different the way they're moving all throughout the film. It's so different from what we've seen. Taking these, they used Jackie Chan's like fight coordinator for this, and he passed away sadly since the film finished, since his work finished on the film. But like the way that they move in this film and the action is just so different from anything we've seen in this universe. Yeah, I loved it.
I wanted to say, a quick shout out to both the plot and the action and my thoughts. Plot wise, it's funny. I hadn't thought about it that way, but actually is like a criticism, I think, of like how each like act there is that kind of like stopping point and start point. Yeah. I actually did not like that. And one thing that the first thing Jasmine said to me when the movie ended, she thought it was okay. I mean, she liked it, but she definitely think it was like mid-tier Marvel, like not like up there. She was like, there was just so much going on in that. Like, there's just like almost they were setting up too many things. There was too many like things going on, and that's one criticism where, to me, Simu Liu was incredible in my mind.
He's electric on screen.
I loved that character. I think they didn't focus on him actually even enough. There was so many other elements, and it's not even I feel like they had to in this case, because this is what an origin movie in 2021 looks like. You have to do all these in the MCU, you have to set this up and that up, and it's a slight criticism for me. An action sequence I wanted to shout out is actually not the bus scene, because that one's like kind of the obvious winner. The one on the side of the building.
I know where you're going. Yeah,
outside of his sister's like fight club, where
the rush hour
like
fight.
When Katie almost dies, and like it's just amazing him kind of swinging through the poles and fighting these dudes, and that one guy with the suit comes out of nowhere and starts fighting, and like you said, the action feels so different. I love the like dancing like moments. Like that scene is incredible to me, between the mom and dad and them falling in love there. That's like can you feel what is it in
yes
can you feel the love tonight? Lion King.
And Lion King, literally. That's what it reminded me of.
What a fucking pull, honestly. you know that's my favorite movie of all time.
Seriously though, if you think about it, because like anyway,
it is. That's when I fell in love with the movie. Like right then, that sequence, I was like, "Oh my god!"
When they go from that into his apartment and the hip hop starts playing, I was like, "Okay, like I don't care what you do for the rest of the movie, I'm here." Like I am hooked, because it's so jarring from this beauty to just like this like. They cuts to him in the apartment, and there's an Outcast poster on the wall, and he's just listening to some of these like sick trap beats walking down the street in San Francisco, and I'm just like, hell yeah, dude! Like this is, you got me.
There's so many moments I love in the movie. I mean, it's just like it's the family to me. Like that's another thing. I don't know. I forget the criteria you laid out, Thomas, but like the family aspects, that is what they hit a 10 out of 10 A+ on. I thought everything with the family was perfect, especially. Talking about that, they had the scene between the mom and dad when they first met, and then later that scene with little Shang-Chi and his dad going to say like, what is it? A blood,
blood debt must be paid in blood.
by blood.
Yeah.
That scene is awesome. It's gut wrenching. It's brutal. It's like I haven't seen a scene that brutal since like Daredevil on Netflix, where it's just like badoosh, like boom, you're dead. You're not. Oh, I didn't knock them out. I literally just like snapped his neck with the 10 rings right there and crushed his skull. And the kids watching. I love those elements of it.
And
everything
while
with
we're
the
still
family and the sister, yeah.
While we're still on action, because we will talk about characters, right, Thomas?
Yes.
But while we're still on action, I gotta shout out the 10 rings themselves. The use.
Good.
I don't know if you guys like Shang-Chi in the comic books is different, and like the 10 rings are on on like actual rings. The way they adapted that for screen, they're so cool, and the way that they move and are used within fights is awesome. The climactic battle between Shang-Chi and Wenwu, where they're fighting and they go from Wenwu's blue to his arms and they turn yellow, and like the way that he uses them to traverse at times, where at one point I think he shoots them behind him to get extra elevation. It's some of the coolest use.
Sorry about that.
It's some of the coolest like uses of abilities, I guess, or weaponry in modern action movies. I think that just the way that they work is so neat, and one of those things that I left the theater going, I cannot wait to see more of this. Like, I can't wait to see these used more, because these are going to be it reminded me a lot of the first time I saw the T'Challa suit, where the I forget what he calls it, but the way that it can absorb punches and then he can release it. It's that sort of deal where I saw these things for the first time and the way they were being used, and was just like, I'm okay with these being in my life for the next however many years.
I thought it was really cool, speaking of the 10 rings, by the end of it. And I think one thing that I was like slightly critical of is I didn't think they leaned similar to my thoughts earlier, where they didn't actually focus on our main character a bit. I wish they did more, a little bit more. Is the uniqueness of him being half the Mandarin and then half what his mom, I don't know what you would call like whatever she was. Taloian. Yeah. Like basically magical. And then being freaking Wenwu's son, who's just a beast that has these 10 rings and has been alive forever. Like, I think they didn't actually lean enough into the specific special, like the uniqueness of both him and his sister, and like kind of that mixture of like of just what his blood is. Like,
well, I think that's something that even he doesn't know about. Like, I think that's something that we as an audience don't know about, and I think that's something that will be explored, maybe not even in Shang-Chi 2, but in future Marvel movies, because I think that even he doesn't know that full potential yet.
It's almost similar to Peter Quill, where he didn't know his dad was Ego, and then suddenly in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he becomes crazy. And I think with the 10 rings, I really love them. And I really want him and Spider-Man to interact. Them in New York fighting would be electric. Like that hand-to-hand combat, being in the air sometimes, the kicks and the thwips and all this and that. I would adore that. I think we're going to get so much more Shang-Chi in the future, and we'll talk about it later.
Yes, we will. Because, I mean, I've been saying it since we started the whole, what is Shang-Chi's future? Training the Avengers. Boom. Done. Said it. Plot and action. I'm going to run through the plot at my speed pace. We have that beautiful opening scene. We jump. We get Sean. That's weird to say. All the way up. We have the bus scene fight. He goes to find his sister. He fights her. We get Abomination and Wong. We'll get to that in a minute in characters and themes. Then we bounce from there. They get captured. We go to Wenwu's situation. They have that interaction. We meet my favorite character, Morris, and Trevor Slattery. We'll get into that, as well. And then we go from there straight to Tallow, Dragons fight, hard cut, Wong, post credits, etc. Boom. I think that's everything for plot and action. Don't you think, guys?
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to drop in?
Something action wise that I don't think we'll get touch on. I loved the water imagery in this movie and the way they used it in those certain scenes. That when they're in Wenwu's kind of compound and he puts the two stones in and the water comes up, and then like I wanted more of that, because that was something. It was very similar to the first time I saw Doctor Strange, where that's something I've never seen on a movie screen. Like that's just the way that they did that. It didn't come back at all really until the credits themselves, which again, Marvel just, I don't know who they're paying to make these credit sequences, but god damn, like they don't
skimp. Yeah.
They don't mess around. And it was the same with Black Panther when it ended and they had all the sand imagery in the credits. Like
the Black Panther credits, man. Those are the best with the music.
Well, that's what this movie reminded me a ton of. It reminded me of that first Black Panther movie, and and I think we probably won't touch on it again while we're going over this. I think this movie means, I mean, we're all three white dudes. Like, there's a lot of us on the internet. I think none of us can sum up what this movie means for a community of people.
Oh my gosh.
For Asian Americans and Asian Canadians and whatever mixed race, they like this is their superhero. And from what I can tell, it was an authentic story for them, featuring legends of Hong Kong cinema who Simu Liu was electric on screen with. Like these are people who for some of them, like Wenwu, I think this is his first Hollywood movie, and he is a god of Hollywood cinema. And so to see him there, and like I wanted to say that this movie is important, and judging from box office numbers, is making an impact similar, not quite to the extent of Black Panther because you know, pandemic and stuff,
right?
But
money.
It's doing great though.
This is an important movie for a lot of people.
Off of that, I think I told Thomas this story. So in my classroom, I wrote, like, on that Friday, I had seen it Thursday, and on Friday I was like, happy Shang-Chi Day to my fellow like Marvel fans. And this kid, one of my students, comes up to me, and he is Asian American, clearly, and he was just so excited. He was like, I'm going to see it tonight, like, oh my gosh, did you see it? Like, well, how was it? Like, was there a Spider-Man tie-in? And I was like, we'll have to wait and find out. He was just like so jazzed about it. And that was like one of the coolest experiences, like just to see how excited he was for the movie.
Something that affected me. So when I've told people how I saw this movie, this is the first movie I've seen in theaters in almost 2 years. Yes. And I went, and when I tell people I went, and I was in a theater with me and one other family, and that was it. And people are like, oh man, that sucks. It was opening weekend of a Marvel movie. I've been in Marvel movie theaters where people are cheering, crying, whatever. But the thing about it is, me in this theater, this other family I asked them, they were a Thai Canadian immigrant family. The parents came over here, and it was two parents and a kid of 11 and 8. And it was it was incredible to be in this theater with these people, because there was cheering, because these kids knew there was only one other person in the theater. I've never seen someone so enthusiastic to see somebody on screen. The parents were like, knew these actors and knew Simu Liu from Kim's Convenience, a pretty like big show up here. At least I know down the States it's made a bit of an impact. It's a Canadian show. And so like I will never ever forget that movie going experience, because I could tell that this movie meant something to these people, even these parents who probably aren't huge Marvel fans, but just to see the representation it's amazing. Who would have thought if you had looked in 2008, and someone told you you're gonna get a Shang-Chi movie, most Marvel fans would go, who? Like, Shang-Chi was especially in 2008, was really irrelevant for a long time. I think his run ended his named run ended in the 80s sometimes. Like he showed up in 75 as and was hugely culturally,
it was like a caricature,
misrepresented. Because he showed up because of Bruce Lee, because that was a big deal at that point, kung fu movies and that sort of thing. But it's
that's such a cool experience, man. That's just a unique theater-like experience.
That's awesome. Moving into characters and themes, I got a lot of thoughts on a lot of these characters, but you guys will probably cover them. The one thing that I really loved the most, the thing that resonated with me, if you will, from our main characters, which are Shang-Chi, Katie, Wenwu, and Xialing. I would say that's our core cast, right?
Yeah.
Specifically with Katie and Shang-Chi, it's stop wasting your potential, right? I've been known to work at a gym after college for longer than I need to because it has free time and I can act whenever I want.
But everything happens for a reason, Thomas, and you wouldn't have met me if
it's true. That's what I'm saying. I still at sometimes will I feel like I'm wasting potential, even though I do nothing but work all the time. I have no life. But and then it's specifically with Shang-Chi, it is to accept what is the line? You are a part of everything
Rebel
that came
Alliance.
before.
Oh, sorry.
You're a part of the Rebel Alliance. No traitor. No, you're a combination of everything that's come before. Your mother and your father, and the good and the bad, and to be what you're supposed to be, you have to accept it, own it, and just be you.
Yeah,
which
make
I
it your
thought
own.
is a brilliant theme. That obviously, I'm not Asian in any way, but I don't have to be. Maybe it's just a me thing, but I've never really cared about race. I care about, do you suck me in to your emotional cause as a character? And that's something that when people are like, why do you people are like, I don't want to watch Marvel. I'm like, you're missing great character development. Then you're missing how to tell a story. If you watch Marvel Phase 1, Infinity Saga, you'll learn how to tell a story. If all you do is watch that, you will learn how to tell a story. And if you watch it enough, you'll learn every little nuance. And in this case, Katie, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit nothing.
Nothing.
Another brilliant line of just wisdom, kind of along the lines of, hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when you can see it, you'll never make it through the night. It's got that same vibe. The I smile so that the people, for the people who aren't here that can't smile anymore. That just came from What If this week. Beautiful. Wenwu, he let his grief overtake him, which is very similar to Thor. Very natural, very similar to Thor, if you will.
Yes.
They just went down very different paths. And it's great. I love that grief is really the most prominent thing in everything we've seen so far from Marvel.
Well, something I loved about the family aspect, in Marvel in this show is like, it's such a normal real world problem. If your parents, if one parent dies, or if you get divorced, and there's things aren't right, the kids suffer. The kids are always one that suffer the most, and especially if like one of your parents like passes away, the other parent can go down like a dark path. Maybe not like in a Marvel movie like this, but like there is still that like. It's never easy, and it can get out of control like this. And that's what I'm saying with the character-wise, the family, all encompassing, is the way
they built the family in this movie, and something that I don't think in the wrong hands could have been done poorly is the way they cut back and the use of flashbacks in this film to build emotional resonance and to make you care more about the characters, and a lot of these flashbacks actually make you connect with these people a lot deeper. It hasn't been done in a Marvel movie, at least. The way the use of these and the way that it's interspersed, it goes back and forth a whole lot, and sometimes you're even getting flashbacks from different points of view and that sort of thing. It's the character development in this film and the way they utilize these characters, especially Wenwu. I think Wenwu, this is a lot of this is a Wenwu movie. Other than it being called Shang-Chi, I think he has a nice arc in it, and I don't think we're gonna see more of him. I don't like that he died either, because I wanted
because he was such a good character.
And he didn't have the rings anymore, so just like leave him. It's almost like Agatha, leave them somewhere, but they're still there if like you come knocking. And I would have liked to seen him continue in the MCU as well in a sequel in a different maybe role, right? Like and doing something new.
I just thought multiverse. Maybe we get Wenwu, who's like very loving, never put the rings back on. Oh, your
when
mother's
the
gone
mother
in
never
here.
died. Yeah,
maybe they get both of them back. God, that would be a mind fuck to say the least. On the flashbacks, really quick, I'm glad you brought them up because my favorite thing about them is, and about this movie, is in terms of narrative, it operates on a need to know basis. If we, and it's on the audience, you don't need to know Shang-Chi left when he was 14 until that point in the movie. You don't need to know that he had a conversation with his sister and left her only to find out, like he never comes back. You don't need to know that till that point. Then you don't need to see him recover and be like, no, I killed the guy until that point. Like it builds along the way, and the way that they used it is not been done in Marvel for sure. And I don't know if I've seen flashbacks used this well in a very long time. I can't even remember a movie.
The only other
close.
example of flashbacks, like the inventive flashbacks similar to this, would be something like Memento, where it's like flashing back and forth and then getting to a point.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's an extreme. I was going to say, shout out to an excellent comic book movie, Man of Steel. Fantastic flashback scenes where you jump back to the childhood, see where they got to this point, right? As the story goes along, we get a progression of where we are in real time, and then progression of in the past, from when he's a kid, this event, that event, of exploring his powers. What does it really mean? His dad not letting him save him. Like, we get all those things in a movie that happens current day, and we get all these story element beats from the past. I think that's very comparable, these two.
So we're hearing characters and themes. I'm kind of done with my stuff. I mean, I could talk all day about Trevor Slattery and all that.
Yeah, I wanted
you
Trevor
guys to talk about some of the characters and themes before we move on to the mythology, where you guys know I cut my teeth.
Yeah, I liked seeing Trevor Slattery. So you think about Marvel as this, like, I don't know, this ethereal kind of thing that's just out there, but it's their people, and they understand when they make mistakes. And the way that they use Trevor Slattery in this movie, I love the Mandarin throwaway line where he's like, "They named me after an orange," like when Wenwu's talking at that dinner scene.
Yes, that was so good.
I think that they're taking these mistakes that they have made, because a lot of people were very upset when the whole Mandarin fell apart in Iron Man 3.
Yep.
And so to bring Slattery back, have him be like, "Oh, I'm an actor. They hired me to portray this terrorist and and whatever." And he's like, "Oh, looking back at it now, it may have been a little insensitive." It's like, that is Marvel talking directly to the audience.
Right.
But I liked Slattery. The whole I think the Planet of the Apes is up there with Korg's rock paper scissors joke as the funniest sequence in the MCU. Like, it's hilarious talking about and my mother said, "Oh, they're acting," and I said, "Well, how'd they train these apes to act?" And that's what inspired me.
Yeah, like, if they can do it, so how can't I? I want to shout out Awkwafina as Katie.
Oh,
I
man,
think we haven't talked about her at all. She was excellent. Like, I thought she was so funny.
I love Awkwafina. I've loved her in everything she's done. I think The Farewell is a great movie that she's in. And she, at the beginning of this movie, I was a little bit like, ooh, like, this is a lot of Awkwafina, and Awkwafina's humor can be a lot. But the more, especially after they introduced Trevor Slattery, I found from that point on, I was way more into the Awkwafina humor. And I liked her, and I really like that. I mean, eventually maybe there will be a romantic element there, but I really like that. Like, Marvel needs more friends. They need more strong friendships.
We should have told. Sorry. I was gonna say we should have had a romance in this movie and a friendship in Loki, but that's all.
But and I like that they're keeping them together. Like, there's a reason at the end of the movie
Mhm.
It's the two of them and not just Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Do you-
Jasmine was like, why? Like, why was she there? And I'm like, well, I don't know. They just want her to stay in the MCU. I don't know. I'm happy about it because I liked her a lot.
She was the first one cast in this movie. We have to remember that. Like
Right.
she was the first name attached to this film.
Was she really?
That's
I thought
Yeah,
she
no,
and
it was
Simu Liu were
her.
announced at the same time.
I think I'm like 98% sure it was her. It was her name. Yeah, I liked her.
I love.
I really
Awkwafina.
liked her in this movie.
Yeah, I love Awkwafina. We should have talked about her earlier, and I agree, Klein. At the beginning, I was like, okay, it's Awkwafina doing Awkwafina, and we'll see how it goes.
Mhm.
And I mean, my favorite line might be, "Come on, get in. I'm like the Asian Jeff Gordon." I don't know who that is.
Who's
And
Jeff
I
Gordon? Yeah.
died laughing.
Yeah.
Like she said that, and I'm laughing. He's like, I don't know who that is, and I'm laughing harder. And I'm like, is anyone in this theater old enough to know who Jeff Gordon is?
The thing that broke me was when she looks at the guy in the like garbage truck when she's driving the bus, and she doesn't even say anything at the moment. She just looks at him and makes eye contact, and I broke. I was just crying laughing.
Yeah, I love how she stayed in it. And you know what she is? She's like the Asian American representation, you know? Like she's not like even Sean or Shang-Chi,
Okay.
like he was from China, right? Or,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's
Essentially.
yeah. He was like that's where he was from. That's where he was born and raised.
Mhm.
And Katie was like just like her, her family's from, I forget what they we were at there. I think they might have mentioned it.
I think it was China as well.
Was it? Okay.
I think so, because he asked her what her Chinese name is at one point, and she has an answer. And and her grandmother and stuff is talking Mandarin, which for a Marvel movie to have I don't know a lot of subtitles in this is
I loved it.
I think is very cool, because
I
a lot
enjoyed
of people see subtitles in a movie and go, nope, I'm out. And they're missing out on a lot. That's a small wall you need to get over to have a whole world of storytelling open up to you. And I was really impressed with the way that the amount they leaned into it. It wasn't just a scene here or there.
They really truly cared about first having subtitles and then over explaining that they can speak English. Like later on, like why they would be speaking English and like how they would practice and like this, that, and the other. Like I remember Wenwu, I think specifically saying like something about like, have you been like learning your English, this and that? Like I loved just those little lines. Or it's not just, oh, they can just speak English. Just because
or when they show up to, I think it's called the 10 Daggers or whatever, the club, the fight club, they show up and they talk to that guy. And,
exactly.
and she says something and he goes, oh, don't worry, I know my ABCs, which I think is American born Chinese. I think that's what, like, that's a slang that Asian American. Yeah, I think that's a slang term, I think, that people use in like the San Francisco area, which he's not from San Francisco, but
the movie.
But he instantly goes into that oh no, I speak English as well, don't worry. Which I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point, guys. That's a good point. I missed that. I did, back on Katie not being able, is that her real Chinese name or did she make one up? Because I get the feeling she made one up.
I don't know. I thought to me it felt authentic, but I don't know, because she does talk about not being able to, like, she understands Mandarin pretty clearly in this movie, but doesn't speak it.
You're right. Okay,
which is common too for people that's families are from countries and like can under like my Jasmine, my girlfriend, her mom's side of family's all from Mexico. So she like understands Spanish really well, but she just doesn't really like speak it. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the same vibes I got.
Intrigue. This is going to lead us into mythology here. What is Katie's lineage? Because she learned how to shoot a bow real fast. I mean, she's
Klein struck at the exact same time.
She is clearly a genius, right? But I mean,
good at driving. Real good.
Oh,
great reflexes, which is a great, that was my argument. They're like, wow, she's became really good at, bow and arrow. And I'm like, it's not that hard if you have small twitch muscle fibers in your fingers.
You guys know what
from
Katie's
driving.
Yeah. You know what Katie's favorite movie has to be? Ferris Bueller.
Okay.
Let that one hit. Think about it. Think about what happens in that movie. Who does she embody? Have you guys not seen Ferris Bueller in a while?
I've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'm just trying to.
Okay.
I've not. I don't
she
remember
Ferris?
the last time I don't remember the last time I've seen it.
Is
Okay.
she Ferris? Like I don't.
No. In Ferris, they drop off the car and two
Oh my
guys-
god! Oh my god!
And they go crazy in Chicago
Yeah.
driving around.
Yeah.
The Star Wars theme plays. It's phenomenal. And they come back and they're like, yep, good. Have fun. And like that's literally those two characters are Katie and Sean in this
Yeah.
Okay.
movie.
I see you.
Anyway.
I see you.
Okay,
Someone
that's
got
funny.
it out there
Yeah,
immediately.
I understand. I understand.
Meanwhile, there's me. Mythology. I've got 3 bullet points that I really like, and I want to get people's one note. You were talking about the 10 rings. Did you notice how they are technically morphing their size?
Oh yeah, they do like they like expand because they're
like
Yeah.
like based on
he's
just
not-
looking
he-
at forearms.
He's not nicking his knuckles every time he's doing the like
the stuff.
the arm
Yeah.
shooty stuff. Yeah.
and you know, just how they sit on his wrist. Because I've seen it twice in IMAX, so I analyzed. They're always the same size when he opens the box. They're the exact same size, so they're malleable as well, meaning nanotech. And then
I think they're of an. I mean, the post credit we'll get to it, but I think they're of an origin that is not.
yeah.
I think Atlantis. That's my pick. That's my call. I think that they're Namor related somehow.
Interesting.
I think it's from like space. I think like we talked about it.
Space.
We'll get there. Like an eternal kind of
Yeah.
connection.
Okay.
That's how you could tie it into it. I think, yeah, it's either. I think it's some sort of these
Well, think
new
about-
realms that they're going to lean into.
Think about
Probably should have ended
vibranium.
with this one, yeah.
What was vibranium? How did it get to Earth, right? Didn't it like come
Space.
shooting down?
Yeah, it's a meteorite.
Right. I think it's like similar in that vein.
Okay.
I don't know.
I like that. I like that a lot because then what else is on Earth from space?
Venom.
Shout out really quick. All of our fans are going to know that I've been bitching about not having a good movie on my birthday, and I may or may not have a good movie coming out on my
90-minute
birthday,
banger.
but I have a movie that I wanted to see, and I've been pitching for a while to come out. Venom, Let There Be Carnage, October 1st, 30th
Really fun.
birthday. Yeet, yeet. Skeet, skeet. Magic water, guys. I don't care about. Well, I care about the final sequence with the dragon. We didn't even touch on dragons as characters, which is should have. But
I disliked the big one.
the big bad or the big good?
I loved the Great Protector. I
Okay.
thought when they added up the new one, the bigger, badder
Dormammu?
one, I'm like, come like that. The more I've thought about this movie, there's elements that I've loved more. Like thinking about scenes, the final act to me.
This is
falls
but this
flat
is
in my
not
head.
this is nothing new.
Yeah.
Like, sorry to break anyone's heart, but this is nothing new for MCU movies. Like,
No.
a third act CGI fest is nothing. I personally thought that this was, I mean, maybe it's, I don't know. It's felt very anime to me, which I dug.
It really did. It really did. Yeah.
I think it's one of the better bad third acts. I will take
Oh, yeah.
this personally. I take this over even the last act of Black Panther. I wasn't a huge fan of, where they're just dodging trains. The last act of the first Iron Man movie falls apart pretty quick. It's very similar to that. I liked the dragon. It felt very Spirited Away. If you've ever seen that movie,
It's on my
just
list.
with this weird dragon flying in the air.
Right.
Didn't like how they brought it down. I don't know. I don't understand how they have all of these archers and just one shot from Katie through the throat. This thing's done.
Yeah, there's elements like that. I just didn't like how, once again, similar like what you just said, there's nothing new. Well, this movie did not have to introduce a other universe bad. This movie did not have to be about saving the world. Is basically my point. It really didn't. I was so invested in just Shang-Chi and Wenwu, just that, and his sister, and I was all in on that. I understand where they went with the story, but I think it got messy at the end, especially here's a guy, Wenwu, who's been around 1,000 years, and he can't tell this is a bad idea when he starts punching the wall.
But David, he's hearing his
really-
wife in his ear.
Come on.
Yeah.
He's been around 1,000 years. He's going to fall for that trap. 1,000 years. And he falls for that trap. I don't know. I don't buy
argue
that.
really quick, David, that the only reason he went to Talo in the first place was because the rings were already telling him to go. When
Was
I
it
think
the
they
rings?
mentioned what
I thought he was like hearing voices from like the demon things.
through,
But they
the
knew he
rings.
had the rings.
Like that's a
Oh,
key
'cause it
line
was-
of dialogue that
Mhm.
the only people who have ever come to try and take away the dragon to open the portal is someone with the 10 rings.
Mm.
Thousands of years they've come. So that tied it directly to the rings, whether or not they are actually correlated, aka from the same dimension,
Planet,
which is kind
yeah.
of what they're
Mhm.
saying may happen. We'll get to that post-credit scene very next.
Oh, wait.
But
Sorry.
Winwoo, I argue when he went to Talo in the beginning, like on the second time watching, I was like, I really wonder if as soon as you've gotten everything that you have and you want in the world, that's when, because it's like, oh, you want this, you want that, you want this, and it goes after what you want. But there comes a certain point that you've conquered so much that you have nothing left to conquer.
That's how that's how his story was.
And it was.
Okay.
And I'm hitting on that because we know where I'm about to get. But before we dive into the post-credit scene, I want to talk about the water magic.
Also, Thomas, I have another question with the mythology as well. I wanted to bring up. Want me to do it now?
Let me do water magic really
Okay.
fast. So the way that they use like just the look of the water magic is very Last Airbender, and I love
Avatar.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
I need more. We need so much more of that. We now have a few interdimensional portals that are common access to certain people. Sling rings, utilizing sparks to open a portal and step through. We have the Bifrost, which is an Einstein-Rosen bridge, if you will, and it shoots you down in a projectile, as a way.
Yeah.
We have the jump points, which we still don't know how those motherfuckers work.
With the
and now,
Guardians?
with the Guardians
Okay.
and all other space-faring humans.
Right.
You could argue the quantum realm,
Yeah,
but
I'd say the
it's
van.
not so much a portal.
The van.
Really? Yeah, the van.
The van honestly is one.
You're right. The van itself is a portal, and now we have water portals.
And also the one from Endgame. Let's not forget the time travel one.
Yeah, the quantum.
The platform.
Right.
Yeah, that's
It's
just a
blown up
bigger
now.
van.
Oh no, you're right. They have the
But that
they do.
they can jump
They made
space
it.
and time in that.
They remade it. You're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I meant when I said quantum realm was those two
Okay.
things,
Yeah.
basically.
Little
But then
Tony
we
Stark
now we
mixed
have
in.
now we have water portals, and it is very intriguing how all of them kind of evoke. I mean, they all kind of evoke the Rainbow Bridge, the Bifrost. The Bifrost. When it opened, like all in that scene where the car starts driving through, I noticed all the little gems on that wall sparked up. They were all different colors, just like Infinity Stones, the timeline, the Einstein-Rosen bridge, which again, the timeline.
The beginning of What If.
The beginning of What If. It all looked very similar. And then the water opens up and it comes through, which
It also looks very similar to that Far From Home trailer scene.
it
Yes.
did. And that's another
No Way
thing.
Home.
So
No Way Home.
I know.
Could-
Everyone's.
there's too many homes and one of them are mine. Fucking Spider-Man. So that was. Do you guys have any thoughts on the water portals? And do you think now we can get fire portals and dirt portals? Well, we've got fire portals, wind portals.
See, my comment question is related to this.
Ooh,
Where the hell is this place in the scope of
In the
things?
timeline? Like are we talking like post blip or what?
are you talking the movie or Talo?
What is it? Talo?
Close
What-
enough.
I
Yeah.
forget what it.
Oh, are you talking about
Talo.
when is Talo?
Where, when, how,
Yeah.
Gamora? Like, I don't understand. like the aunt is like it's a
Yes.
it's separate universe, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the
Yeah.
hell is happening? Because like
yeah.
it's hard when like we were talking about earlier with these multiverse meetings and stuff, making it clear. It's like now we're introducing a new kind of universe thing. That's not a part of the multiverse, but what's going on? Thomas, you're raising your hand.
I am. You know how they have the 9 realms for Thor, right? And that's what they know. We've got the 9 realms. We're connected by the world's tree. There's also in the comics, there's the 10 ancient kingdoms, if you will. One of them is the one that Iron Fist comes from. This is the one Shang-Chi comes from. Maybe
Isn't Talo in the comics like a pocket dimension? Don't they call it that?
you could argue that every world is its own little pocket dimension.
What does that
Okay.
mean? Every
I don't-
world. What are some examples?
but
I don't get it.
Well, here's the real thing. Like, if Talo's a pocket dimension, Asgard was a floating fucking city in space.
But isn't that? But
Think-
you can technically travel there. Whereas a pocket dimension is separate from the timeline, but it's its own little. Think of it as a bubble on like the outside of the timeline.
You
So
can
it's not
still
touching the
travel
timeline at all. It's just is existing in its own little bubble and not affected by anything that's happening here.
Right.
Yeah,
I like
Unless-
that. It
Unless
confuses
it's
me,
crossed
but-
over.
unless it's
Which you could say Talo could be
But
its own
people
little
from
pocket
people
dimension.
from the timeline can enter a pocket dimension. They can change things there, but it's not affecting anything on this line, and then pop back with the knowledge and with whatever happens there.
So how do you get that? There's the
Beautiful.
forest, right? Like
Well-
it's Narnia. Like that's literally what it reminded me of. It's like, oh, you travel through something that's real, and then suddenly you're in this magical different place.
Well, I think that
Yeah.
was just built there to protect that entrance point.
Yes.
Or
Yeah,
right.
That
Yeah.
was built there to protect the entrance point, but you got to think that. I mean, again, let's look at time. Let's utilize this as a chance
Oh wait,
because it is mythology on timeline. Really quick, I'm not going forward. I'm actually going back. That
Okay,
the
yeah.
Eternals have been on Earth for like 7,000 years, right? We know from the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Wenwu's only had the rings for 1,000 years, so the information we know now is probably gonna change vastly. But that Talo is still a pocket dimension. Let's look at it like this: everything that happened there on Talo didn't affect Earth. It affected some characters on Earth,
So that's
but not Earth. And so it can still be a
Mhm.
pocket dimension, but you can still connect to that pocket dimension.
because
In the
pocket
same
dimensions in
way-
the comics are a thing that are used not
As
frequently, but they're there. And so I
Yeah.
think if they're introducing that into the MCU, TVA, pocket dimension, all in the quantum realm.
I had one. Here we go.
Hmm.
I had something else too, but I'm gonna try to keep it all straight. What about the void and where Kang was? What was that?
I would call that a
Yes.
pocket dimension.
yeah,
There you go. Like that. This
That
is
is
like
definite-
stuff like that. And then
that's the
also,
epitome of pocket dimension.
right, like that. I need. See, someone's got to explain these things to me, so I don't have to think about it forever, and then finally come up with these in my head. Because I don't know. Like, is that even the case? One thing that I thought about with Talo is it reminded me so much of in Godzilla versus Kong when he goes down when it's in the it's like center Earth. That's
Yeah.
what it reminded me of. It's like
It
this is
did.
just like center Earth for the MCU, but they don't say that. They just like, oh, we're in some distant place where there's just like a dragon in the water, and then for like ever behind this one wall, there's been like all these like demons just sitting there. We haven't decided
No
to
big
like
deal.
nuke
And
it with dragon scale
punch
bombs
it
or
really
anything.
hard, yeah.
Yeah, like we haven't it just sits there like quietly. Like we hear him a couple times barking at the door. We haven't decided to like throw some like dragon shell like dragon scale nukes or like bombs in there at all. Just they just kind of sit there.
If someone
and we
knocks on it
watch.
too hard,
They're-
just some things will come out and steal our souls.
Yeah, like we're just hanging
big deal.
out.
It's
you
just
know?
Also, you were
Mamu
talking
dragon.
you were talking about use of color and stuff like that in the No Way Home trailer and Loki. The way that the souls were coming out of the bodies,
Oh,
same
same.
sort of colors. It looked
Yes.
very Bifrosty.
Oh, and that brings me back to the interdimensional monster in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 does the same thing.
Oh,
It
you're
comes-
right.
It comes through, it breaks through from another dimension just out of there. It looks different. and they're, that's what they're saying those tentacles are in What If. Everyone's like, oh, it's that. It's supposed to be the same creature. We just have only seen it from the other side. But when it was like attacking and shooting out energy, it was also that same color. So clearly they're telling us something about these colors, whether it be the Bifrost, the timeline, etc. That is the Infinity Stones. Even when he shoots that thing at Thor and the Stormbreaker is just kind of slicing through that energy, it's the same shit.
Right.
So clearly when Ultron gets the
gauntlet,
the gauntlet and the Infinity Stones and What If, he's going to become something else. Because we've only seen someone use it in a practical take away life, bring back life. Let's not forget that it rewrites every single bit of reality. And I wonder if that's how Kang was able to, He Who Remains was able to, I'm doing this on the spot, was able to tie the timeline together. It was with the Infinity Stones. Maybe had someone else do it for him. I don't know. And anyways, post-credit scenes. We went down a rabbit hole, but we got back to the
There were two post-credit scenes.
Let's talk about the last one first, because the other one we're going to go super deep down. It's Xialing taking over as the head of the 10 Rings with way better vibes. You know what I'm saying? They got ladies there. Ladies are way cooler than dudes.
Instead of angry graffiti, there's cool, fun graffiti.
So much graffiti. Got hip hop vibes. It looks like they're going to be still doing fight clubs, but also probably a little bit on the side. You know what I'm saying? Thoughts on that? Where do you think she pops up next? And is she and Sharon Carter already best friends?
I think we might see her in Hawkeye.
What?
Ooh, that'd be interesting. What happened?
I'm sorry. Oregon just beat Ohio State.
Wait, really?
After being down earlier, I think. I did not pick them to win that game. Anyways, sorry about that, Klein.
I've heard theories about Hawkeye. And
that'd be pretty sweet.
And 10 Rings being involved in a bit of an antagonistic sort of Silver Sable kind of way.
Did you
guys
know
what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Did you guys catch that Easter egg someone posted on Twitter where one of the widows was in her initial fight club?
Yeah. Yes. One of the widows, as well as one of Killian's extremists.
Yeah, really cool. I liked all that a lot. With the post-credit scene itself, big time shrug from me. Big time.
Oh, really? I was
Whatever.
into it. I want more of her. I liked her.
I liked her too, but like I was like, okay, I waited around for that. Like I could have seen that coming. Like that.
I can see her and the widows tying in a lot.
I like that. That's what I was kind of going with when I mentioned that. Like I could see where that could be maybe a setup point in a potential like widows or some sort of Disney Plus series relating to that. What about just like the 10 Rings Disney Plus series or something along those lines?
That'd be amazing.
Fundamentally, though, I think it's going to be in Shang-Chi 2 is where she's going to have her biggest role next. And there's going to be some sort of that 10 Rings group is going to be pulled into action.
I think that they might show up in whatever. I forget. Oh my goodness, Alessa Deldegra Contessa.
It is
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Whatever she's putting together, they will show up in some sort of show, whether it's their own show, movie, what have you. I think the 10 Rings could be involved in that, not maybe being recruited by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but maybe going up against this weird anti-Avenger Thunderbolt sort of thing that they're putting together.
I like that. I think that's a really cool idea. I think those kind of grounded groups like that, I want to see like have fights together. I actually forgot about that whole thing. There's so many pocket elements. I'm not talking about universes or dimensions, just pocket little storylines happening.
You have to think how big. You have to think how big of a role that they are wanting Florence Pugh to have, and you can tell from the end. Like you forget there was a post-credit scene in Black Widow where Julia Louis-Dreyfus comes and talks to her and asks if she's in, and so I think that I think that they will tie in somehow. Just they give me very serious I think that whatever this Thunderbolts group is going to be doing, they will not be taking on any sort of intergalactic, crazy, interdimensional threat. I think it will be something much smaller, something much closer to home. And the 10 Rings could be that. I don't think that the sister is going to go full good guy all of a sudden, because you look at the way that she grieved, you look at the way that Shang-Chi grieved, and they both went down very different directions. And I think she is a very different person. Honestly, yeah. I think Katie and Shang-Chi were blipped and she wasn't, and she has been in this world for 5 years and they haven't. And that's why she is so just like worn down. And
all right. See,
I'm so glad you said that, because they can't be blipped.
Why not?
Because 1996 is when his parents met.
Because if you look at the timeline, the way that it works, so he leaves at 14, right? Yeah. Katie says she has known him for half his life. In this movie,
he'd have to be 28.
He'd have to be 28. We're missing a bunch of time in there, aren't we?
No. 1996. I'm 30 right now.
But isn't he 24 in the movie? Don't they say he's 24 in the movie?
No. Wait, do they?
I thought they said it. Did they say his age? I never thought they said his age. They just told us timelines and shit.
Okay. Here's one of my biggest complaints about this movie is how they do not acknowledge the blip, except for
how far. We don't know how far it was. We have no idea how far it was.
I hate we don't know exactly when this movie's taking place, and I hate how it's like, this is the only blip away. Like, come on.
The only evidence that we have is it could be the grandmother during the movie mentions the Chinese Day of the Dead, which I think is in April. So the way that it works is that is 6 months post blip. So it could be 6 months or it could be 18 months, because we don't know what year it is.
Drives me nuts. It drove me nuts in the theater. I'm like, why are they not like, just tell me, like, just acknowledge that you didn't blip away, or there was no like emotional ramifications or anything that grew their characters because of the events of Endgame. And that frustrates me as an MCU fan.
Yeah, I saw it as
even make it a joke, like in Far From Home. Do something like give me oh, that person grew up or something like that. There was none of that. There was no like,
oh, that's what you're wanting. Okay,
something to acknowledge it. It was just like it was as if it didn't really happen to them. Like it didn't really affect them much.
Well, you got to look at the performance from Awkwafina on that. When they mention it, her reaction tells everything. I don't know what it means.
Well, I just don't understand if.
But you're talking. Like, again, if he got blipped and he's younger than 28, then she technically didn't know him for half his life.
Would Sean,
because it would be less than half his life,
right?
Which is where my math comes in. If he's about 28, which fits with the 1996 to 2023 or whatever, like in that ballpark, then he doesn't get blipped. Which it doesn't seem like he got blipped away because he has an apartment,
I'm telling you, it
maybe Katie was blipped. I don't know. It's fucking confusing.
The fact that they don't
I'm glad they
it.
See, that's funny. You're pissed. I love that they didn't acknowledge it. Leave us to chew, because if they're like it falls in here, then we're like, all right, so this and this, like we don't know. They're building up. You got to remember, right now, the thing Endgame is confusing the fuck out of us until Multiverse of Madness, and then I think everything will become clearer.
I just thought WandaVision and Falcon the Winter Soldier so far dealt with a post-blip reality and dealing with those ramifications way better than this movie did. It did not acknowledge it at all.
Personal story.
I know, but still. So are those shows.
The one nitpick that I have with the whole blip thing is they're in San Francisco. We have seen San Francisco we saw San Francisco during Endgame looked like the end of the world. And so if this is 6 months post that, potentially that city, they did a great job rebuilding infrastructure, because the whole fucking city was like to shit. So I don't know where it lands. I don't know where
just
it lands.
Back to normal to me.
You can say that about Falcon and Winter Soldier too. Everything looks normal.
They do nothing so really much looks more though.
Deserted.
Yeah, I guess, but even the characters, they deal with that so much. Like the villains of that show, even though I don't like the Flag Smashers much, and even Sharon, like those are dealing with results of those events. Sharon Carter's new story, and the Flag Smashers, and even like Zemo to a certain degree. Like, I thought that was a lot more interesting of a way to deal with this Phase 4 universe on Earth than, I mean, Shang-Chi has its own thing going on. I understand it's its own story, and they didn't want to focus on that too much. But give me some answers and something, man. This is a new world, and I want to see them, especially because it's so close to the movie. It's like it's very close afterwards.
It is very close. The reason I think they didn't really touch on it is because it didn't affect them as much, or they've gotten past it, or the blip
sense.
Hold on, wait. The blip itself, the reason that she went to fucking Berkeley and got a degree. He speaks like 7 languages and has a bunch of things he can do. Why are they just doing cars? Because nothing matters. Why don't we just do a job we like, make some money, and live life and have fun? That's their mindset. So when it comes to coping with the blip, that might be how they cope.
You just don't think that when Thanos snapped his fingers in 2018, why wouldn't that be the time to reach out to family? You know what I mean? Like, that would be the time where it's like, oh my gosh, like life is over.
Well, we don't know what family, and we don't know what family was there or not.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know if Wenwu was gone.
And the fact that 10 rings are so like stabilized even through it all, I don't know. It's just a nitpick. It is just a nitpick because this is a Phase 4. We're pushing forward. We're moving on. But I just thought that other Disney Plus series, especially so far, have dealt with those more. I think even Eternals will too.
You're right. The timeline of their numbers don't make sense, Klein. Because he says, I've let you, for 10 years, I've let you do whatever it is you want. You know what?
I don't know.
David, what year were you born?
98.
I was 97. I'm
in
24.
2013. How old were you, David?
15 after June.
I was 16.
So they meet in 1996. That doesn't necessarily mean Shang-Chi is born in 1996. So if he's 14 years old and leaves, and it's 10 years prior to this movie, let's just say it's in 2023, then he leaves in 2013, roughly the same time Iron Man 3 shit was happening. So that's kind of hilarious. Right. Which means he would be 24. But that means if he's 24 and he left at 14 and he was born in 99, he was not blipped away.
But do you? I get the. I mean, we'd be reading into this too much. But just judging from the way that this relationship sparked up, I bet you that kid popped out 10 months after that day. Like,
wow, they were messing around.
We have been messing around. Let's dive into what is probably going to be another 15-minute discussion. So the movie ends. They're in the bar. They're having fun. They're talking, and they're talking about their shtick.
Shout out to that bar scene. Shout out to both of those bar scenes.
Those were
the I'm gonna Venmo you line.
Yes, right. I was like, oh my god, he's us. Well, not us. He's younger than me, but whatever. He's us. Loved that, and
I
they're
just love them
explaining
it all the like. I love the idea. We never really think about what these people who live in this world what is one of them's a lawyer, like just these everyday walk-a-day people think of what's going on in the world, and they understand. Okay, half the like we know aliens exist. We saw the T'Chari, New York invasion and what have you. But when it's their best friends or whatever telling them all this stuff, they're like, "There's no way. There's no way."
Like, yeah, right.
Ha. Thanks for getting us back.
And then the
like
sling
I totally
ring
did it.
Opens,
and she's the only one that doesn't notice it too, which is the best. I love that she comes out. Shang-Chi, he walks in. Boom, credits. Great credit sequence. As you guys pointed out, the visual effects are fucking amazing in that. Then it pops back up, and we're staring at the 10 rings spouting off its magical, mystical dust showing something. And they're talking about the 10 rings.
And who do we see, Thomas? Who do we see?
We'll get there. But first, he says that the important thing is I want to take you beat by beat inside this post-credit scene. Everyone wants to jump to the end and the climax when you just nut all over yourself. But you got to have foreplay, kids. It's a good thing this is made for adults.
Gross.
But told Wenwu that.
Oh, That was
Dude,
that was
I
good.
bet Shang-Chi was conceived on those leaves. Like,
Oh yeah, no, he was in
Right-
those leaves,
right
bro.
there.
He was in those leaves.
Were the rings involved?
The rings. Back to the rings. Thank you, David. So Wong says, where'd you get them from? What do you know about them? Shang-Chi says, my dad had them for like 1,000 years, but other than that, I don't know. And then Wong says, well, they're not an artifact in any of our codex. Then we pan. And before we get there, we hear Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo saying words. I don't remember what the fuck he was saying. Basically, he don't know either. Then he looks to his right, and Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, back with the long hair being awesome. I still like the short hair version.
So time has
obviously.
passed. Time has passed.
A good amount of time because hair don't grow fast, man. What the fuck? It's a lot of hair.
There's
But
that, and that Bruce is human.
I will argue being able to slick back hair, which is kind of how it looked like she was growing it out and it was in a bob stage. We've all been there. So I've been there. It's
like
a
buzz
but
on the side though, man.
yeah, she did have a bit undercutty kind of look going.
Oh,
Like,
well,
come on.
you can keep an undercut and still grow the top out. Because I did that. I kept my undercut and grew this out until it was a certain length so that when the back grew, there's a reason. There's a hair process. David, I saw you had long hair. Love it. Grow it back out. But then we see her and she also has no fucking clue what's going on. So that brings us to a human Bruce Banner in a sling. So we know it's still post Endgame, right? Carol Danvers being awesome. Doing Carol Danvers stuff.
Gotta go.
Having a convention, if you will, a conference. That was the word. We have, and David knows, I've been pitching. It's going to be this. It's going to have 3 levels of fighting. Ground, earth level. That's Bruce. That is full on Bruce Banner Hulk, right? He's a ground level. Sure, he's an Avenger and he can take on Avengers level threat, but he's a ground guy.
It's a down to earth dude.
Then we have the Cosmos, which is always going to be Captain Marvel leading the charge there. But then the multiversal magical realm. And I love that it's Wong. Like we all thought, oh, it's going to be Doctor Strange. But it makes sense that it's Wong because he was still there. It seems he was still there, I should say. I think someone said he got dusted, but we didn't see it. And if Kevin Feige doesn't say it, it's not true.
I think
so that we've got
he shows up at the end of Endgame with everyone else that got dusted. You know what I mean?
But he also shows up with a bunch of people.
Calls.
But M'Baku wasn't dusted. So
Was he not?
No. And he also wasn't in the conference call. So
but that's M'Baku, not Wong.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't in that conference call. Anyways, back to the plot. I was trying not to go down a rabbit hole, but I still did. My bad, folks. So we have Bruce, we have Carol, we have Wong, we have the 3 levels of violence, the 3 circles of violence, if you will, in the MCU: the Earth, the Cosmos, everything outside the Cosmos and universe. What do you guys think? Where are we going to go? My last question will be back to the 10 rings. So Klein, emotions.
I said it before. This is where they mention that it's calling, or it's sent, like it's
There's a beacon.
It's got like a beacon of some sort. It's calling somebody. Yeah. I think that's tied to Eternals and or Black Panther 2. Like I think that I think that they might be Atlantean, the rings of origin. I still think that could mean that it could still tie to Eternals. But yeah, I have this post-credit scene was one of the better of the last few years. Like I feel like we haven't gotten any of these. Like this reminded me a lot of the first Iron Man post-credit scene. I mean, that's never going to be topped just because we're talking about the Avengers. This was like, if you had any questions, you can't now, like Shang-Chi is an Avenger. Like he's a part of this crew.
Yes.
But yeah, I have no idea. My biggest theory is that it's Atlantean. Like because they are bringing in that sort of realm into play in Wakanda Forever. I mean, who knows now with the way that story is going to go, just because I think that movie a year ago was completely different than it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that it's Atlantean in nature. I think that we see some sort of tie-in in Eternals, but who knows? I have no idea what Eternals is going to be about. Like I am so excited for that movie, and every time they show me something, I know less about it somehow. I have more questions, but I liked the post-credit scene.
Me too. And I thought a few comments. One with like a theory. I just think that those are. My guess would be that they're actually from like space somehow. But I also would agree that my guess is it would be Eternals, because one thing that I'm like, it's getting hard with the MCU. We're getting so much content and so many different storylines. Like before, it was like you knew a post-credit scene was going to lead to something like obvious that was up next, right? Now it's like we have no idea where this is going to range and where it's going to go. I liked the big scale of it. One thing that I wish I could gotten in it, why is Sam Wilson not in this call, man? Where's he at? He's freaking Captain America now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is this 6 months post Endgame?
Because
Winter Soldier. How is this movie before Falcon the Winter Soldier? There's no way it is. There's no way.
Because Falcon the Winter Soldier is also supposed to be like, isn't it supposed to be like 6 months or something? Like around that time.
There's no way this movie. Carol's hair and Bruce, like we just explained how Shang-Chi's probably like more distance in the future. It's not. It's a nitpick. I got these little nitpicks, right? But I just feel like if there's a Avengers meeting, where's Sam?
But I feel like this is the Avengers. This is if Tony were still alive, he would be in this call, because this is what's Sam going to bring to this, because they don't know that when they start the call, they don't know that it's calling out to something.
You're right.
They're just like, hey, we have this thing. We have an expert on space. We have an expert on science.
You're right.
And we have an expert on magic.
Yep.
Let's look at it.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not a world-ending threat. We do not need to bring Captain America.
It's not a call
to
arms.
Yeah.
Yes,
You're right. You're right.
I'm sure he's getting the memo afterwards. Like he's gonna get the email.
Yeah. He got the meeting notes later on.
I love it.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's a really good way of putting it. It's like exactly. Captain Marvel knows space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bruce is the science guy. Wong's like, "What's up?" He just like just kind of like group FaceTime them. Shang-Chi's there. I get it.
You mentioned it though, David. Interesting that he is not Professor Hulk.
Yeah, like what the hell? That's why you can't tell me this movie doesn't take place later in time.
Do you want to know why I think that is the case?
I do.
Because, and it's going to be really, really, really dumb, and you're not going to like it. Budget for She-Hulk. That's why. I don't think they want to spend the money to have a Professor Hulk prominently involved in a series like that when they're already going to be having.
Is it? Yeah. My theory is that it's going to be explained in She-Hulk, and it's a part of the blood transfusion. And
I think they'll explain it, but I think that's the actual reason.
That's definitely the reason.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that reason in a logistical sense, because I'm not as on this molehill as like Brandon Davis from Comic Book, right? I like Professor Hulk. It was fun. It's never been my favorite take.
Me neither.
I need the Hulk to be angry.
I like the duality.
And you see the difference in how they fight. Like the Hulk will go. Bruce is just big and strong and thinking, and he's still Bruce. So it's not going to work out as well. I'm in universe. I'm wondering if as Bruce, because he is conscious as Bruce Banner, maybe that power. So like maybe he's only got a gimpy arm when he's Bruce, but now when he transforms the Hulk, his soul is not injured.
Why is his arm in a sling? One, because the Russo brothers, I mean, directors say things about their movies all the time. They said that it wouldn't, like, the Hulk would have shaken. Yes, it would have like rocked him a little bit, but he would have shaken that off. They wouldn't have any sort of like, I thought they said like there wouldn't be any sort of lasting injury or whatever.
I'm going to be honest. The mid-credit scene felt a little thrown together. Like, here's,
like they finished, like they had the 10 ring scene, and they're like, oh, we need something else. Like
this
they watched them.
Yeah. Like, oh, let's get Brie Larson in.
I think they had that planned.
Here's Ruffalo. Like, I don't know.
I think they had that planned
They
the whole
could've
time.
yeah.
But here's the thing. You're like, it feels thrown together. It's just setting up 3 or 4 other things at once.
It's teasing something. That's the thing. Like
it's teasing a lot for Bruce and She-Hulk. Like I'm not worried about all these questions we're going to learn in She-Hulk next year. Big whoop. Same with, seeing Abomination. We're going to see more of him. Cool. We're going to get more of Wong and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Maybe Shang-Chi is there. Right? We don't know. It seems possible. He is an interdimensional being with some sort of power that, I mean, he's got a dragon heart or something. Like, it's dope. And then Carol, who's doing space stuff. So that could be, honestly, that one is the one where it could be setting up 5 things at once with just Carol being there at all.
That'll be Miss Marvel or the Marvels. It's probably probably the latter. I don't know if she shows up till the very end of Miss Marvel, but
the timeline of everything is still like
that's where David's pissed.
But now that the timeline's broken, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, thank you, Klein. Non-linear storytelling.
This might not even be our Bruce. Like, I don't think that's. I think that is cheap writing. I don't think that's the case, because now nothing means anything and there's no consequences.
Right.
But
you mean like Loki in the Apocalypse? Because that seems like where we're at right now. The thing is of consequence.
I love that. One thing I had to say, like with the timeline, it's like, okay, so quick question. I know we got to wrap up.
All right.
Where does in No Way from Far From Home at the end credit scene, it's gonna jump in that movie? We imagine, right? It's gonna be some sort of time jump.
I bet you. And this is crazy. I bet you No Way Home picks up at the end of Far From Home.
No, I agree. But I think in the movie, in the actual movie of No Way Home, there will be a time jump. Like it's going to push forward a few months, if that makes sense. This isn't going to be a movie that takes place over a couple days. It's going to be like, oh, there's this trial thing going on, la-di-da-di-da, and then it pushes forward a little while. And then the multiversal stuff happens. Are we not in agreement on that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I could see them doing
how's Wong in 17 different places.
Hold on. I could see him doing a time jump similar to Avengers Endgame, where things happen, it gets to a point, and then it cuts. And I'm pretty sure we've had 2 different time jumps, or a title card of time jumps 8 years later, 6 months later, or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning of each Spider-Man movie so far.
Yeah.
I think that we will start there, swinging through, remind us of where we are, and then something's going to lead to a point.
They might even show that. They might even show that stinger to start the movie.
I was just about to say, cut to black. Marvel Studios credits go right in. For the last 6 weeks, we've been listening about Peter Parker, like kind of stuff. I feel like we will get a time jump. It won't be in the plot. It'll be like right there, similar to how Endgame was kind of, that was the plot, but right there.
Sometimes, like even in Shang-Chi, there was a time jump from when the main plot ended to when they're in the bar,
Yeah.
Like we don't know how long that was.
Yeah.
But
we do know at the beginning that it's present day. They jump from 1996 and there's a little bit of time, but then it has that hard cut to present day for Shang-Chi when he wakes up. We understand as an audience that's a time jump.
Right.
Oh shit. We should go through all Marvel movies ever and see how many have a time jump in the first 30 minutes.
Someone's got to know on Reddit somewhere.
Anyways, yeah, I love that. I love that question too with Spider-Man, because me, I love me some Spider-Man.
Well, because I think that's the next like real world kind of like event that's happening in Marvel. Like Eternals is going to be kind of its own thing, I figure. I'm going to
be honest. I disagree. I'm starting to think that nothing is going to be its own thing.
What do you mean?
I thought Shang-Chi was going to be its own thing, and it is, but then it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and before you know it, we're fighting an interdimensional dragon, and then at the end of it, instantaneously, he's like, hey, yo, come with me if you want to live. Not really.
Right.
And that's how we end it. So it ends on this big Avengers set.
Does that happen in Eternals, you think? Is there like that?
But
moment?
Eternals, you're starting out so big already. Like
That's yeah.
Exactly.
you're
That's
literally
why I'm
you're literally dealing with like the
Sentient beings.
yeah, like these things that like they influence the universe. Like they're
Yeah.
so they are
able to tie into everything.
tying to everything and be the reason, not be the reason, but like you know what it could be the reason for everything.
They've been overseers, you know, they've been watchers this whole time. Like
I mean,
I feel like
okay. They've been watchers.
and in the trailer we saw like
Mhm.
oh, you're only supposed to fight what is it, deviants?
The deviants, yeah.
And then like there's that question. I love it in the trailer. It's like, well, who told you to do that? And then it's the shot of that
Of the
like,
Celestials.
the Celestial, and it's like, oh shit. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that I didn't mean. I feel like the connectivity isn't going to be there as much. Maybe in a post-credit scene because I don't know.
Gotcha.
The Eternals are so different though because Shang-Chi is just a dude that becomes an Avenger. The Eternals are these beings that have been watching, and they're not going to become Avengers. Like that's not a promotion for them. You know,
It actually is a promotion for them.
why though?
Because they've been
watching the Avengers.
Hold on.
Like,
listen, David, you're not thinking fourth dimensionally.
It's not where you are, it's when you are.
Yeah, because think about it. For 7,000 years, they've been on Earth watching us kill ourselves and not being able to help it. They couldn't stop Hiroshima. They couldn't stop the Holocaust. Things of that. They can't stop Atlantis going to war with Wakanda because that's an earthly matter. They're only supposed to fight the deviants. Okay,
yeah,
this is the Captain America side of the Accords here, David. They are only allowed to fight the deviants. So the minute that they are no longer listening to the Celestials and they're on the Avengers, now they can protect and fight anyone.
But they've got like Superman on their team. He can't just become an Avenger. That seems like
Captain Marvel.
Okay, but does he? Okay, okay, fair point. But
Hulk.
does in the comics? I have no idea. I've never read anything about the Eternals in my entire life. Do they team up with the Avengers? Is that like their thing, or is it? I don't.
They've interacted.
The power scale of the MCU needs to be straightened out in the next like 3 years.
Scarlet Witch. Sorry.
It would depend on the threat, right? Like,
yeah, I guess. I just
if
don't
there's
understand.
literally a being who is terrorizing timelines, that might be a threat.
What is threatening them suddenly? That's not an Avengers like call.
Are you talking
in this movie?
The deviant, the emergence, the awakening, whatever it's called, which is great because now the question is
it the ring beacon?
Is it the rings? Is it the rings beacon? Which it's important to note that there's another line that Wong has, you know, when you first use the rings in Ta Lo, we felt it here in Kamartaj. Like it's expanded out, like it's sending out a beacon to what? We don't know.
It's so
like
good.
the snap. And they say that the snap is what caused the emergence or the reawakening. Maybe that's true. Maybe they find out in that movie, no, it was the 10 rings that we forgot about because I don't know why I was going to say Canada, but that's not even funny in this context. But is the beacon because the energy is blue/purple. It does look like the Power Stone. Is it? And when they expand it out, right? It's got the layers like the multiverse, like Kang, like the magic from Doctor Strange in the No Way Home trailer. Is it calling Kang saying, this is the universe that you must control to control all other, like what if Kang's entire plan is to conquer and do what he that remained had already done?
Oh, I see.
That's what I think. And those rings is how he maybe did it once or left those in a place. Like the way that the multiverse is branched, and that means we can get so many Kangs at so many times. And they talk about how ancient they are. Let's not forget that Kang once ruled ancient Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wore those rings. If you ever look at ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, they've got bands on their arms.
Maybe. Yeah, I know. They do. That would be an interesting tie-in. I don't know, man. My bottom line
I put everything to Kang, so
I mean, at this point, it's not a bad idea. Like he is I would say like the next big bad that was set up that way. That I mean, talk about like the power balance of it all, like the TVA still and everything in Loki. Like it's there's just a lot to I think like kind of straighten out, and we get Eternals will give us answers I think for some of the stuff. And I'm really excited for that film, especially coming off Shang-Chi. A great movie. I really enjoyed it. I think Eternals is going to be even better. Like I'm expecting Eternals to be even better.
It's going to be beautiful. I can't it's going to be awesome.
Beautiful. And I think they're going to tell a really interesting story that but brings in an even bigger and deeper element to the MCU, even more than Shang-Chi. So anyway, yeah.
Thomas, you forgot the best part of the post-credit scene when they go and do karaoke.
I hadn't made it there yet, but you're right. That's how we wrap up that scene. Honestly, that scene, it's so good that in terms of like, it gets you a bunch of ways, but the ending with the karaoke, and
then Wong comes back.
Parts of all the, it takes the best parts of like every post-credit scene, if you will, and smashes them together in that mid-credit scene.
And Wong comes back from that bender and is like, Strange, don't cast that spell, and then leaves again.
But in this movie, we even see him pop out. Like he pops out with Abomination into some. You don't know where that is. I don't know. Wong's up to something.
A traveler, man. He
don't know what
he's
doing.
Flyer.
That's what if I had magic in a sling ring, I'd go wherever the fuck I wanted.
Literally have like teleportation. Like
I wouldn't walk anywhere.
Yeah. He's probably just going down the street. All right. Let's go.
I would literally like, oh no, I gotta go. Just.
And he's so.
I'd be like, there's my coconut water. There's that. There's that. Just pop right in. Oh, you're done. Thank you. Boop, 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 boop,
Doctor Strange in the library when he's like just putting his arm through in Doctor Strange. But no, seriously, like and I love how Zombeez? Wong is just so too. And he's so like he's not trying to cover it up at all.
Yeah.
Like just boom right in the middle of the diner. Like it's just it's all good. Everyone knows about the mystic arts now.
Which is a great, Klein, you were talking about like what other people in the world think. Maybe it was Klein, maybe it was David.
It was,
and it's just like in that scene, everyone's like looking, and I'm like, oh my God, like that's what it must be like to live in this universe. Like all of a sudden, you never know when someone 2 feet away might actually be a superhero.
They really should adapt that comic. The Marvels?
The Marvels? Bro.
They should adapt that for like a Disney Plus show. That'd be really cool.
Yes. That would be fucking amazing.
Well,
it chronicles the Infinity Saga?
Yeah, that'd be
remember there was going to be like a workplace comedy. The cleanup crew, I think it was called, and it was about these like everyday people in the MCU. Damage Control, something like that.
Damage Control, but
it was going to be like basically The Office, but it was the people who clean up the superheroes' messes, and they were just like everyday regular people.
I don't think that was a Feige thing. I think he axed that actually.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, but this was a part of this was similar time as when Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. was coming up. This was a long time ago.
It was basically like,
and then they did a DC version of it like at the same time, and that's why they I think backed off.
Yeah. It reminds me of like this is when I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. like the episode after the Dark
Agents
World.
Of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
When I was younger, when it first was coming out.
Well, it's part of canon, Thomas, so we have to keep up.
I know. That's why I'm surprised he's watched it. He hates canon.
I hate canon.
He hates canon. He hates animation, but he loves D. Bradley Baker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to pretty much wrapping up the show here. For promotions this week, I'm going to do it here and now. Again, the direct podcast. Go listen to that. The voting will be out like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know. On a day. Vote for us
next week.
Get ready for a hype promo that I'm going to be cutting together today to make sure that we win because I don't like fucking losing. Sorry, I'm very competitive, ladies and gentlemen. It's something I don't like to let everyone know because I'm an asshole about it. Reckless Rebellion, gentlemen, we're like a couple weeks away, so we should tell people.
Are we talking about it?
It's happening. Kleinfeld, David Thompson, He changed his Spider-Man and it threw me off. Jack Pews, myself, we're coming together to create a new podcast. One
An
that's
alliance of sorts.
an alliance of sort. It'll be the Reckless Rebellion podcast about Star Wars. We are likely going to be dropping our first episode around October 1st, possibly earlier. We'll see if schedules align. David,
Gotta be in it.
Gotta be.
Stuff.
He's got to be in it. We can't like Doctor Strange's ass in. We don't have that technology. But the Reckless Rebellion, we're going to be doing it. We're going to have drafts. We're going to be talking news, talking movies, doing reviews. We have games and debates set up that we're really excited for. Probably shorter than this show. Maybe not. Who the hell knows? Probably, though. It'll be 4 of us, so it'll be a wild fucking time, to say the least. Klein, are you excited for that?
I'm so excited.
And
I can't wait.
I know it's gonna be. We're hoping to get Jack on today too. Man, just imagine if all
Could've
4
been
of
a
us would
party.
have been here. Would have been a party. Would have been Reckless Rebellion primer right there.
Mhm.
Klein, where can everyone find you on all of the social medias?
You can find me. I actually just changed all of my social media tag. I like my username. So you can find me at the Kleinfelt on everything. That is Instagram, Twitter. Also look for my work. I write over at thedirect.com. Also edit a whole bunch of David's writing over there, although he's not doing a ton of it right now because he's teaching kids. He's forming the next generation and molding their nimble minds. But yeah, you can check out everything for me over at thedirect.com as well as at the Kleinfelt.
You can find me at Twitter at David Thompson. That's 2 A's in the David. You can find me on Facebook at my name, on Instagram at David J. Thompson. I'm honestly, these days, I'm really just active on Twitter, especially when it comes to this kind of subject like Instagram. I've kind of had to like private that one up and kind of remove some stuff like for my bio and stuff just because now I have students that aren't allowed to follow me and like they can quickly like search your names and stuff like that. Anyway, so go follow me over at David Thompson on Twitter. I'm doing a 99-day countdown. Once a day, I'm posting a GIF of Spider-Man. You're going to see one once a day from me until No Way Home hits theaters. So kind of just raising the hype for that movie. I was going to do 100 and then I forgot. And then I'm just like, let's just do 99 days. It's a 99-day challenge, a little Warren Sapp. Anyway, go follow me there. Thomas, what about you?
You can find all of my links at linktr.com/TCRochesterACT. That's TCRochesterACT. That'll get you to my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, website, IMDb. Excuse me. I've been getting really active on the Twitter as of late, so follow me there. I sometimes post on Instagram, and my YouTube will be having some content. I got some interviews and I got some cons coming up. Really quick, ladies and gentlemen, again, Suncoast Fan Fest is it's 2 weeks away. It's 3 weeks away. It's 3 weeks. It's 2 weeks away.
It's
2 weeks away. We got there, everybody. David will be there most likely. I'll definitely be there. I've not received final confirmation on our panel. We should have a panel. I will also be at Orlando Phantasm October 1st, my birthday, through the 3rd weekend.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be fun. And that brings us to recommendations for the week. We'll start with our esteemed guest, Klein.
Recommendations. I said it last time I'm on here, and I will say it again. It's a scary world out there. Stay hydrated. Eat your vegetables. Go get some sunshine. It's hard times we're living through right now, so just find some positivity out there.
David.
That's a good one. I would recommend tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Sit down, spare a few bucks, buy the Red Zone package, do what you got to do, and get a cold one, get whatever food you like, and just enjoy NFL football. It's back. That's what I'll be doing with some buddies, and I cannot wait. That's my recommendation of the week, is to enjoy your Sunday and maybe watch some football.
That's a damn good recommendation. I'm going to recommend some music for your ears. Klein and I were talking earlier, and I let him know before we hopped on. I was listening to some
on
Thor
that
music.
Donda train.
No, I'm not. I'm not a Kanye guy. I've been listening to film scores lately. Specifically, the Thor Ragnarok score is just so brilliant. Thor: The Dark World is also very brilliant. And those two really correlate and tie in together with just different genres of music, if you will. And also the soundtrack for Shang-Chi, fucking banger. Go listen to it and listen to the direct podcast on every place that you get podcasts. And vote for
Yes,
LightsThunderAction. We've reached the end of the show.
I have one more recommendation. I have one more. It was a music one that inspired me. Willow Smith, Will Smith's daughter. She has I just kind of started listening to her randomly. It was like a TikTok inspiration. That's kind of how life goes these days. But there's this album came out this year called Lately I Feel Everything. It's by Willow Smith. I think she actually has a really unique voice and a great sound. So maybe go check that out. I've been enjoying it the last couple of days.
Hell yeah. Well, that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to the end of the show. First, I want to thank Klein for joining us. Didn't know that David was going to be here. So thank you, Klein, for being the more prepared David today. I should have wore glasses. I feel left out. Very excited to keep talking to you every week in our crazy group chats there, Kleino. And of course, David Thompson, world famous journalist, the Clark Kent doppelganger, if you will, bringing news and spicy webs and surprise sling ring action today. Thank you to Terry McIver for his hard work behind the scenes with guests, socials, and research, without whom this show would be Bush League. Most importantly, thank you to you, our fans that join us weekly, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube,
or listening via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify.
We appreciate you spending your time with us.
Please like, subscribe, do all those great things on our audio podcast platforms. We appreciate all of your patronage, viewership, all those good things. Please also, when we get the Reckless Rebellion stuff going, head on over there. There's going to be all those good things for that feed as well.
All the good things. As always, I'm Thomas Carter Rochester.
I'm David Thompson.
And I'm Klein Kleinfeld.
Thank you for joining episode 69. Nice. We made it to 69, guys. We've survived over a year of Lights Thunder Action. We'll see you next time.